Alright, this is the commentary track for the PlayStation 3 world record of Bioshock Infinite. I am the Scrivener. I'm joined with my friends JDerm and KMac.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Neither of them they finished this game, and that's about all the credibility they have. But I didn't want to talk to myself in my own living room like a lunatic, so I've invited them to
keep them company.
Yeah, during this long and lonely journey. We're also rudely eating cookies while we're doing this, so if you hear grotesque sounds of cookies being devoured by human beings, then do not be alarmed. We should also note that KMac is checking out early because it's his grandma's birthday.
Oh, yesterday.
Well, so he's already a day behind. Did you get her anything?
Nope.
No?
Awful.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Well, I mean, I'm like, I'm going to be there and make burgers and stuff.
You're making burgers?
You're saying your company is a good enough present.
Well, my dad's making burgers. I'm going to be there,
Moral support.
Cracking jokes.
The answer's nothing.
Cracking jokes. Well, she's a grandma, so like just you being there is probably enough for her. Grandmas are into it. They don't take much to please.
Yeah.
I should probably do quick acknowledgments before we get too far into the grandma train of thought.
Can I get some milk?
Yeah, go get some milk. KMac's getting milk. Everybody, the SDA guys, SDA forums, Bioshock Infinite guys, FearfulFerret, Stoic Squirrel, a lot of the guys who found stuff in this game that I never would have been able to find. This run would not have been possible without them, so kudos to them. And also, the previous record holder, Smasher419, essentially taught me how to play this game. And his run is way better than my run, but mine had some new tricks that he did not get to use the last time he played. So it's good we're recording a commentary for this because it probably won't be the world record a week from now. So anyway, this part of the game is the reason that most people who run Bioshock 1 and 2 don't run Infinite, is because unlike those games, you actually have to go through the motions of this little 7-minute intro. So there's a guy named Blood Thunder who's incredible at Bioshock and Bioshock 2, and he very rarely runs Infinite because 1 and 2, I think you can just start almost immediately. And this one, you have to sit in the lighthouse chair for 3 or 4 minutes. And
you skip the lighthouse in the first one?
I don't think so. But like it's not as long. Like you crash the plane, you go in, and you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, you have to do this. I screw up these bells a lot. That's another thing that in Smasher's run is way better than me, is he can do those really quickly without sort of stuttering. And when I do it, the game doesn't register it properly, and I end up just standing there and redoing it anyway. So I tend to do it slower. But yeah, there's nothing interesting in this part of the run. You're just watching the prologue and the intro scene.
It should be noted too, like I haven't seen this playthrough yet, so
well,
any surprise is actually
actual authentic. Well, you're an animated guy. I anticipate you, whenever you're surprised, to be just flabbergasted,
befuddled,
dumbfounded, even.
This whole run is going to be a thesaurus of us thinking of words for surprising. So being surprised and confused is just we're just going to list words that also mean that.
Can I have this last cookie?
That cookie is all yours. So this is a good time to do this commentary because the night after this record was set, I played the game again and could not buy anything. I got it was a very, very unfortunate run, and I was about 8 or 9 minutes over my time before I finally just pulled the leash on the dog and said forget it. And so I've taken a few days off, so I'm hoping this will reinvigorate me to do more runs. But this run actually was done. I should also note this. I've got the source video for the run muted, and the reason for that is I started this run about 12:30 at night, and I had no intention of doing a full run that night. It was just sort of a practice, kill some time, and the run just wound up being very good. But I was very tired. I honestly, some of the chatters talked me into finishing it because I just didn't care. I was that tired. Even though I was way ahead of time, I was like, I could just do this again. I don't really care. But I stuck it out. But the actual video itself is a little bit of in-game audio, but more of it is just me saying God knows what, because I was very tired and had no intention of finishing it. So I figure a commentary track is probably better than listening to what I was actually saying live. because I have no idea what was coming out of my mouth. How many times have you guys finished this game?
I only finished it once.
Just the one casual?
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Hilariously, KMac's significant other, he continues to have her avoid spoilers for this game, despite the fact she's never going to play this game.
Yeah, she will.
She's not going to.
She's gonna.
She's not. She doesn't game.
We'll see.
She doesn't really game. How far did she get in the first Bioshock?
About 40 minutes or so.
Okay, so she's 1/8 or 1/10 the way through that game, and that was over a year ago. She's never going to play this game. But he still has us. Time will tell. Oftentimes on my run, I will put the controller down, like on parts like this where I will take a break or get a drink or something. Oh, so rude. We'll fix that in post. And I very frequently forget to actually point the Booker's head cam at something interesting. So if there are very uninteresting things where I just have the camera just stuck in an elevator wall or something, then I'm sorry, but I didn't know going in that this would actually matter. This is the first actual gameplay besides the bell ringings and such. This run doesn't really authentically start until about the 7-minute mark. Maybe that's why nobody's running it. I'm just not much of a resetter. I don't like grinding resets and just like going for perfection all the time. Which you'll see a lot of in this run. The only interesting thing about this place is the water physics are kind of weird. You don't yet have a gun, so sometimes it's actually hard to tell whether or not Booker is actually running. And so I oftentimes will let off the stick a little bit and then repress it just to make sure I'm going as fast as I can go. But the word interesting is very relative.
Yeah. I actually remember noticing that when I first played. I mean, obviously I didn't care, but
yeah.
I remember not being able to tell if I was sprinting or not.
Yeah. The first place I can actually tell is after we get this baptism intro scene, and then after the first New York vision. After Booker wakes up, I can't tell if I'm sprinting, and then when he finally opens the door that actually goes to Columbia, it's actually the first time where I can actually tell if he's running or if he's not running. One of the things I've been meaning to do, but again, I just don't really care, is to look at some of my splits for this run and see how far I am from the former record, because I'm pretty sure that up until you get to the point where our routes kind of fork from where his world record was 10 months old, so there's a lot that happened after his. He did it. This was a 2:23. He did a 2:28. And the skip that I had that he doesn't have is about 5 or 6 minutes faster. So his run is definitely better. And I think if I went back and looked at his run, I could see that in the actual splits. I'm pretty sure he would be already far ahead of me here. This is one of the last viewings of Ben Franklin in the game. I feel like Ben Franklin should have gotten a Patriot. They had the Lincoln ones. They had the George Washington ones. They also had the Comstock ones. I think it would have been appropriate for Benjamin Franklin to also get a.
I didn't notice that he didn't have a Patriot.
He does. He does not, which is
I
unjustifiable. This is a minor time saver here. I think I got it in this run. I'm not sure. Where you can sort of break the wall here and jump back across, and then you don't have to wait for the elevator. But most of the time, I don't get that. This is one of those runs where just a lot of things went right. If it weren't for the fact that one thing didn't go right, I would be there. See, that's terrible. You're supposed to just jump over and I don't know. I don't know how a run that starts at 12:30 in the morning could possibly become as good as this run was, but maybe it's just a complete lack of hyper intention. They say if you try too hard at something, you're only making it worse. Maybe it was the fact that I was just half asleep and didn't care that made this run go as well as it did. This is all we have to talk about for a minute, so talk about your grandma again. Talk about your grandma. It's her birthday. She's probably going to watch this.
Well, it was yesterday.
She's probably going to watch this.
I don't think she has. She doesn't have a computer.
Really?
Yeah.
What's she got going on? What's going on in her life?
Fox News.
Oh, it's all right.
That's about it.
We're done with Kyle's grandma. Swing and a miss. KMac. I'm supposed to be using your pseudo handle. I'm giving away his identity.
Oh shit! They're on to me.
Here we get to like the kid, and there's no way to skip the kid, which is unfortunate because he gets in the way. It's a great time to like scratch your nose or something, but other than that,
You've seen the dick butt gif, right? Where like he opens up the letter and it's just a drawing of dick butt.
no.
It's pretty great. If you haven't seen it, look it up. I don't know how you can look that up.
Somebody, if anybody actually watches this, make that the first comment. We can like it. I guess that's what you do on YouTube, right? Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Like,
yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Here's the very first significant skip in the game. It's an out of bounds where we skip the entire Raffle sequence. And I don't know how well this went.
Skip all the racial tension.
Yeah, see, I missed it there. See, that's another thing that I could have done better.
But terrible.
Yeah, I'm garbage. But on the second jump. No, please feel free to talk complete shit about this run. Because, like I said, I could not kill this.
As the game struggles desperately to keep up.
Yeah, the game has no idea. That's another place where, like, the PlayStation 3 version is slower. That's another advantage I have, because I'm not very good at video games. But this is almost... The PS3 version of the run is the slowest because of load screens. The Xbox is about 6 or 7 minutes faster, and the PC version is like 15 minutes faster than the Xbox version. So if you have access to all three and you're going for pure speed, the PS3 is the last option you'd actually want, which makes me relatively uncontested. So
this is the part where a year ago I would say the 360 was better again, but I got a PS3.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks
Welcome to the dark side. And by the dark side, I mean, I don't want to anger people. I'm not gonna. We're already on YouTube, so the comments are already probably going to be abysmal.
Console wars.
Console wars. Shut up, fanboy.
I lost a leg in the first console war. All that blast processing.
I will say we have a hardcore PC gamer friend, and every time he's over and we're playing on the PS3, yeah, fuck the door up. Every time we're playing, he's like, "This looks better on PS3." I feel like there's a stigma where like anybody who's only played PC games for a while, like sees a console and just can't believe they can even tell what they're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like PC gamers sometimes, or at least in our social experience, like think of console games as like permanently 8-bit or something. Like consoles are always this like pop-in spritey mess. It's like, oh, this actually doesn't look good.
Yeah, I would love to have a, ultra quality gaming PC, but,
I'm just a computer idiot, is my problem. Like, it's very hard for me to get things to work that don't work. Like, me putting it in the tray is the level of involvement I'm willing to put into gaming. I'm not smart enough.
I mean, my thing is, like, as much as I'd love to play this at 60 frames per second, I don't feel like shelling out $1,700 to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take the frame. I'll take the frame cut.
Yep. And in terms of the speed run of this game, the extra 20 minutes of playtime, if you call loading screens playtimes. I don't think I did a terribly good job here. I really don't remember this run. It was so late at night, so
it's fresh for you too.
Yeah, exactly. So every time I'd be like, "Well, this is a really good run," it's probably not going to be true. It'd be really funny if we got to the end, it wasn't even close to a world record. Like, we just talked over some really shit run that I just forgot wasn't very good. And I just thought, I was just that tired. I dreamt it was a world record. See here, that's not very interesting. I should appease the viewer and actually look at something that matters. I will say about this crow introduction with this Chinese guy. If it weren't for the caption, I would know that it was a Chinese guy. I don't see color in video games. His caption blatantly says Chinese prisoner.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, that could
either, actually.
See, you guys are just trying too hard. You know what you are. Now here, like, you got 2 traps, and then the crow attacks you directly, so you can manipulate the AI to where the crow just walks over and kills himself. And then you don't pick up the vigor, because if you pick up a vigor the first opportunity you have, it'll play the little animation where Booker's hands go insane. It just takes time that you don't need to be wasting. So 16 seconds ahead at Raffle skip, and then I think it looks like I lost a little time. 16.22. Yeah, so I lost 0.2. One of the things about running this game, and one of the big reasons why I love running it, is that you don't have to reset constantly because the first hour is meaningless. Like you're always going to be really close to your times, and then until you get to like some of the harder skips, it just doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a lot of deviation in the first hour.
Yeah,
Like what you could do.
Exactly. Like it's kind of on rails, and it's like, yeah, like that little Raffle skip jump, I screwed that up, but it's like, what am I going to save if I do that right the first time, like another second? Like it just doesn't matter. The first like 40, 50 minutes of the game is about seconds, but so much of the late game is about minutes, so it doesn't make any difference. I remember playing this game for the first time. I think I was on my third day of play before I got to Elizabeth.
Yeah, it was a while for me.
Yeah, and it always cracks me up that we get to Elizabeth's 19 minutes into this run.
My first experience with this game was actually seeing you speedrun it. And so
I didn't realize that.
Well, outside of playing the intro, which I had done prior to that, but like, so when I got to Elizabeth, it felt like I should have been.
I just no idea what I'm doing. Go on.
Yeah, well, when I got to Elizabeth, it felt like I've been playing forever because watching you do it and get there in like 20 minutes, then playing the actual game like at actual speed.
Sure.
I was like, when the hell do I get to Elizabeth?
I actually played the game myself recently, sort of as a refresher. There were a lot of things I wanted to. I collected all the Voxophones.
See, I would like to do that again because I got all 3 of them, I think, and I was pretty.
Yeah.
3 of the most essential ones too, as far as like the backstory.
Or like understanding everything and
the bank stuff. And,
yeah.
Kind of
some of them are like grotesque, like even by this game's standards. There's a plot thread with I don't remember the specifics, but it was like a hired gun who traps a Native American boy, I think.
Oh,
like
I remember that.
Remember that,
yeah. He's trying to catch. I don't know if he's trying to catch Daisy or Booker or what's going on. I feel like Comstock hired him, and he's got this audio diary where he's talking about just sort of how traumatized he is at this like bleeding Indian kid.
Yeah.
So it's real, man. It's real.
I think the cool ones are the ones that explain the music.
Yeah,
music and all that.
That completely went over my head the first time.
Yeah, I didn't catch it. It was on my second playthrough that I noticed all that stuff.
This game definitely gets better, or not, I don't want to say better, but like as far as this game has more replay value because of how many of those instances there are of just like hidden things you can see. And
yeah, like the Tears for Fears song. I obviously got it when the actual song was playing, but I didn't realize that you could hear it as like a 1920s.
Oh, right.
Ragtime song in one of the record store, I think.
Yeah. Well, like I think Fink's brother.
Yeah,
he has like a record label.
Yeah, he's a musician or whatever. He uses the tech to strike it rich by getting to songs before they actually would have existed otherwise.
It's cool too because a lot of it is just background music. Like when you're at Battleship Bay or whatever, there's like a Cyndi Lauper song playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, after I beat the game, I actually found this cool compilation of like Easter eggs and secrets on YouTube. I don't know who made it. And a lot of it's really evident stuff, like the wrench being a reference to the first game and stuff, really arbitrary stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's also got some really cool stuff about the Voxophones and in one of the I can't remember which building it was. There's some noise that slowed down like 9,000%, and if you speed it up, it's like music that's actually in the game.
Oh, so they've got stuff just buried in this game.
Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, at the same time, that could just be like them needing ambient noise, so they just slowed down audio.
Sure.
But
nevertheless, if there's a game that's going to have it, this is going to be one of them. In terms of the hidden gems.
Yeah.
Apparently, they used like the same sound file for the Songbird's death. At one point in the first Bioshock.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones in the video.
So a lot of people are like, "Oh, you can hear the Songbird die in the first Bioshock."
Oh, I
but
gotcha.
It's like probably not. But it's still the same sound.
Yeah, it's the part where you who's the guy with Cohen? You go into his theater, and like right before he pops up, there's like this screeching noise, and it sounds really similar. So people like over speculate and say that it's like happening at the same time.
It's like the Wizard of Oz guy hanging himself type thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to take it, then that's fine. But like,
Yeah.
It's like cool to think about it. It's definitely like obviously not intentional, but
Yeah.
I think the first one just set such a high standard of like things hidden in the game,
Sure.
like your creepy stuff that was in the background.
The first one set a high standard for a lot of things.
Yeah.
That was a really good video game.
Ending aside.
Yeah, last act notwithstanding, but I mean, like at that point, you were so it could afford to coast across the finish
Yeah,
line.
that's true.
That game was very good.
I still remember how confused I was after I killed Andrew Ryan and spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah. And
Who is watching this 20 minutes in that hasn't played these games?
it's true. And the game kept going. Because I thought that was for sure the climax.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of keeps going from there for another couple hours.
It meandered.
you
Yeah.
have to do that bullshit Fontaine fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That fight was laughable.
There's the Atlas fight that is built up to this epic, conclusion that it takes like 4 shots to kill.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to check it out, Blood Thunder is the streamer. He's, I think as of this recording, he has the PC records for Bioshock and Bioshock 2. So check him out if you want to see the first 2 Bioshock games with very, very dirty, dirty things done to them.
Speaking of dirty things being done, here's Elizabeth. Friend to feminist gamers everywhere.
Yes. If you were presumptuous when this game came out, and you slapped the trope tag on this game, you made yourself look like a fool. Because for all intents and purposes, this is a game about Elizabeth, and you just happen to be playing as Booker's head, the camera. I would say the first act is because it's a 3-act game, with the first act being this initial bit, and the second act being Finkton and Daisy Fitzroy in the shantytown, and the final act being like the closure and plot discoveries as far as confronting Comstock and the darkness of Comstock House and those things.
Also the mindfuck of the Return of the Jedi on the market.
Yes.
Yeah, it says like Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah. It's the original title,
Yeah.
or it was going to be the title.
Which is kind of cool because that suggests like it's another.
They're already hinting,
Yeah.
Planting them Easter eggs. Of course, like these are all clever things that you see upon subsequent playthroughs. On the first playthrough, you obviously are just like,
Yeah, this is a pretty
The hell's
overwhelming
with it?
game
oh yeah.
thematically.
It's hard to digest. I have a friend who played it over the course of a year, and I'm amazed like he even fundamentally sort of digested everything after the ending, because
Yeah, it's funny too because
you need some lead-in.
the first game I played after this was kind of a late bloomer, but like I feel like that's very not one-dimensional, but it's all based around one idea, kind of.
Yeah.
And this game is based around so many ideas.
Pretty much every idea.
Yeah, that's true.
But it ties it together well. Like this game, I think it says something about both the industry and the quality of this game, that most games have plots that are infinitely more simplistic than this one in nature. And they're like, thank you. Take a shot every time someone accidentally uses the term infinite or word infinite. But like, their plots are in nature more simplistic, but they present them in a more convoluted way. And I think it's very telling that this game has an astoundingly convoluted plot, but it presents it very eloquently.
One thing that really bothered me when this game came out was it was so cerebral and so intelligent that people who wouldn't typically play video games praised the game for that, but said the gameplay was weak or
Yeah.
something, which, I don't know what they could expect from a first-person shooter.
Yeah,
It's about-
it doesn't gameplay-wise, it definitely does not reinvent the wheel.
It doesn't, but at the same time, like it's everything it needs to be.
Exactly.
It's fun.
Exactly. I don't think you have to, sometimes just going through the motions as far as gameplay is enough.
Yeah.
As long as you do that correctly. Do what you're supposed to do correctly.
Yeah, I think people just overemphasize the story so much they thought like the shooting was awful or the platforming was awful or whatever. And if the story had been bad, people would have loved the gameplay. I feel like the story was
exactly.
so great
They
that,
wanted to pick it apart just because. We also have we live in a very contrarian time where it's so much cooler and gets you so much more social credit by pretending to dislike something or to find something wrong with something. And like in a world where we're just smothered in like Medal of Honor Warfighter or whatever the hell, I think it's pretty insane to get nitpicky with a title like this.
Side note: have you heard about Battlefield going annual?
Battlefield's going what?
Annual.
What does that mean?
Like they're putting out a new one every year now.
Oh, so it's like Battlefield.
It's like Call of Duty. Yeah,
it's like Madden.
They're outsourcing it to different companies, and the next one for either this year or next year is going to be a police-based Battlefield game.
Okay.
Which I don't really understand how that corresponds with these, giant, because that's the staple of the genre, or not the genre, the series, where it's like big vehicles, big landscapes. So if you're a police officer against like, it's basically ripping off Payday.
Oh yeah.
While at the same time trying to do, I guess, like what SWAT 4 did.
SWAT 4, I remember SWAT 4.
SWAT 4 was a good game,
yeah.
but like I don't know how they're going to have like police helicopters and police airplanes and stuff. Because I mean, those things aren't a thing.
Oh, you let them worry about it.
So
how about SWAT 1?
I remember SWAT 1.
Yeah, SWAT 1 was.
It was a good ass game.
It had was it the FMV one?
Yeah, the Xena FMV.
Yeah, you had to slice the pie.
Yeah,
I remember there were only like 3 levels, and the last level was like immensely harder than the other 2.
Most of that game was the training.
Yeah,
the
like shooting targets and stuff.
I remember being a kid and finally, after like a year, getting past the training and then finding out there's like 3 levels past that, and I remember being really cheated.
I kept missing the first level because I couldn't figure out how to get in the house.
Slice the pie, baby.
I get bored and then I just shoot my partner and then I get demoted.
That was classic, yeah. I was probably a bigger FMV fan than most people around. That was like my exclusive gaming life for about 1996 to 1997.
I
bought a Sega CD and was actually unironically excited about it. I bought the Power Rangers game, which had no gameplay at all other than just pressing buttons over top of an episode.
So it was like a David Cage game.
Oh, not even like that. It was like quick time events, but they play over top of the episode.
Right.
So like it's like a battle between the Red Ranger and whatever, and you're doing like button prompts, but it doesn't affect the video at all. You have like a health bar, so if you miss it, your health bar goes down, but the video doesn't change at all. So it's pretty much like the least interactive video game you could possibly imagine. Because you're basically just pressing buttons. You might as well just go buy like a Simon at Toys R Us, put it on an episode of Power Rangers because you're doing the exact same thing.
That doesn't sound bad.
It doesn't sound bad. When you pay $60 for it in a video game.
All right, yeah, it's a little different. What is Simon's retail for now?
I guess they're still around. I don't know. Probably
my niece just got one for her birthday.
There's probably an app.
Of course, I didn't buy it. So
I was always more of a Bop It fan myself.
Bop It. Oh wow, that was after my time.
Bop It Extreme.
Paid off in my teenage years.
I think it's telling how effortlessly you segued from FMV games to like toys of yesteryear, because that's really what FMV games are.
Oh yeah.
Like we talk about Night Trap and stupid games like that.
I saw the other day, apparently some studios wanting to remake Night Trap.
Of course they are.
Because they, I can't remember what studio did it, but they came out with that Gabriel Knight remake. Or not remake, it was a sequel.
Yeah.
And it basically really faithfully emulates like a 90s FMV game. And it's pretty cool, actually, I mean, if you like that sort of thing. But apparently, I think a similar company wants to do a Night Trap remake. I guess Sans Data Plato. Data, what was her name? Dana Plato.
Yeah.
She, it's not with us.
They should give her another shot.
Yeah, they should. Yeah. Maybe get another Different Strokes actor. Not Gary Coleman, though. They have to point the camera down. They get Todd Bridges. Todd Bridges in Night Trap. And, maybe Punky Brewster.
I'm starting to think you work for the marketing team. It's going to be. This is actually just a thinly veiled ploy to plug your.
If any of them see this video, I want a phone call.
Your $5,000 budgeted Night Trap remake. I remember that game being hilariously controversial in the media, and if you look at it now, it's just horrifically bad. It's not even. It's offensively stupid.
I remember always hearing about it, and it was like the zenith of controversy. Because there was Mortal Kombat, but then there was Night Trap. Yeah. Mortal Kombat was still fantastical. Night Trap had real people, so I always thought as a kid it was going to be this
creepy,
hardcore, sadistic violence. Then you watch it, and there's people in black jumpsuits putting one of those robotic grabber toys around people's necks.
Yeah.
And that's the violence.
You use them to pick up a litter, I think.
Yeah, you do. It's not even really a functional game because you're just supposed to switch between the security cameras, and there's this video playing, but there's no possible way you can see it all.
Yeah.
Because it's all playing out and you have to switch back and forth. So really it's not even functional as a narrative. But there is a hidden ending where you can drop Dana Plato in a hole, though.
I think that alone's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, it was a secret hidden ending where if you catch all the whatever the hell they're called, the monster guys. She's like in the hallway, and she's like, "Oh my god, you did such a good job," or whatever. And you can press the trap button, and it drops her down the hole, and it's really funny. Not so funny now; it's kind of dark now, but you know.
That's the actual like real life canon ending.
Yeah.
That's not an ending. That's a camera was left on, and that's what actually happened to Dana played it.
I like to think they didn't actually tell her that was going to happen. Either the directors of the game were just like, "Wouldn't it be fucking funny if we dropped Dana played down this hole today?" Like,
it's the only way they could get her to act was to actually do things.
Actually, Night Trapper.
That's pretty meta.
I wish I remember the Night Trap song because it was a good one.
I really like this scene. I'm really glad nobody's found a way. I don't think it's possible to sequence break this whole scene out of it with Elizabeth dancing and stuff.
See, this is like an easy like 4 or 5 hours regular time.
Yeah. Right? Oh yeah. I 3 if you're moving, like 2 or 3 hours. Here I always pick the bird because I'm not a savage. Like why this decision makes no difference, but bird every time.
I picked the bird to look at a Thursday logo. But,
you are so seen.
It's true.
You can actually skip this if you're really on your game, but I've never gotten it to work, and it's really not worth the time it takes. You can jump from a barrel. It's really precise, and it doesn't matter.
You gotta look at the statue, though, man.
Like, I didn't look at it. Well, you gotta get on your horse here and go.
Giddy up.
Giddy up. That's one great thing about this run is like I can actually comment on all the skips because I actually accomplish them. Up here, we're getting ready to do a trick where it's the Elizabeth prompt tutorial where it tells you that Elizabeth will throw you things and you catch them with square. And you jump here at the right time, and then you can sort of box that prompt and put it in your pocket here and preserve it. And then if you go up here and then set it off up here, Elizabeth will already be up here. And you don't have to wait on her to catch up to trigger this dialogue scene with this lackey.
This was probably one of my favorite parts in the early game. Just like going through all the kinetoscopes.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I felt like it really got the atmosphere of like a 1920s arcade pretty well.
It's interesting to me, like how great some games are. Like, there's a lot of games where I feel like most games try to put the exposition in your face constantly. They're like, "Hey, this is what's going on. Look at our world." And so many of the most successful games, like this game, like allows you to just discover it at your own leisure.
I mean, a lot of this game you could probably, if you blew through it without looking at any kinetoscopes or listening to any like Voxophones, you could blow through this game and not really have any idea of this setting.
Yeah,
outside of like the immediate story.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Which is sad because like the art direction in this game is so well done too.
Yeah.
This is one of the first mandatory fights.
I mean, that's some of my favorite storytelling in gaming, is like being able to like discover.
Yeah.
That's why I think Silent Hill 2 is so effective.
Silent Hill, yeah. Silent Hill 2 is wonderful about that. Portal is another one where you can just discover the story yourself. Metal Gear Solid, not so much.
Yeah.
The first Bioshock is a lot like this.
Yeah, the first Bioshock did it really, really well.
Because I mean, if you played the first one without listening to any of the, are they called Voxophones in that one too? Or?
I think so.
If you listen to any of the Voxophones, I mean, you get it. It's an underwater city, and there's a bad guy, but you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't have any of the backstory.
You're left to discover what's going on.
Yeah.
It's so much more ominous too in Bioshock because of how much darker the game is.
Yeah.
Which works. I was talking to somebody else on stream the other day about how important it was that they, with this game, it's obviously from the same franchise, but they didn't just try to make Bioshock again.
Yeah.
Isn't Bioshock a horror franchise? Like, if they had tried to force a horror game into this idea, it wouldn't have worked.
There's still, like, definitely parts, though, where it turns all of a sudden, and you can tell, like, it gets super creepy, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah, the Comstock House is the biggest one.
Yeah, and you already passed it, but when you go into the cult of John Wilton.
Oh, yeah, the Raven Order.
Yeah.
Order of the Raven.
Yeah, that part's, like, pretty dark, but...
This is the first part of the run where my chat started discussing the possibility of it being a good run because of how far ahead I was in the split. Because this is a ludicrously good split. or my last one was bad. But regardless of how you look at it, like people were already saying that it was going to be a good run, and I was already half asleep and pretty much dismissing it due to the first hour just not really mattering that much at all. KMac went to the bathroom. He didn't want to tell you, but That's really
Awkward.
full disclosure. He went to the potty. I hope he watches this on YouTube. Like, he's never gonna know we said this unless he actually like goes back and watches it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there'll be all kinds of Easter eggs. He has to leave for his grandma's birthday soon, and we're pretty much going to devote the rest of the time to just talking shit about him. So that when he sees this,
My grandma's birthday's months from now, so
yeah. Oh, so you got time.
I have no grandmotherly obligation.
Fair enough. That's all I look for in a friend. And
A lack of grandmotherly obligation.
yeah, co-commentators. This is the first part of the game where like times really, really start to deviate a little bit. Like it's not hard to have fairly consistent runs, but this is like actual fighting is happening more. Most of the exposition is over with. The roller coaster has sort of reached well beyond the top of the crest and is sort of on its way at this point. Hall of Heroes is the next section, and that's a place where I'll actually have a second to talk about some of the crazy things. That's actually as far as just like it's not the hardest section by any means, but as far as being intricate in terms of going as fast as possible, it's by far the sort of the most wacky section of the game. Before we get there, how do you feel about, as somebody who's played, did you play Resident Evil 5?
I did,
5.
actually.
So as far as like, where do you rank Elizabeth on the spectrum of escort mission?
Pretty high, honestly.
Yeah. She
if not the top.
Yeah.
Just because I was really concerned about that when I played it, but
Yeah.
I mean, she never gets in the way.
Yeah.
Like the engine is such that like even if she does get in the way, it like quickly fixes it.
Yeah.
And like if she's blocking your way, she'll get out of the way, or she obviously can't be shot.
Yeah.
Friendly fire wise, so that's not aggravating. Because Resident Evil 5, if this is at the top, Resident Evil 5 is probably at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because that game was almost unplayable single player because the AI was so bad.
Yeah.
I actually ended up beating it online. And if you do that, then the game is just like too stupid or too simple to even be worth playing.
Right.
So,
yeah, post 4, they struggled.
Yeah, 5, I just remember it was just such a nightmare because, I mean, Shiva would not help at all. She would get herself killed and you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I just feel like if there's like an AI partner with you, they shouldn't be subject to the same things that you are.
Correct.
In the sense that,
At least not until they figure out how to implement it.
well, yeah, because I mean, like there's certain circumstances where like she would get stuck in an alley or something, and you obviously couldn't do anything about it because it was AI doing it.
What's the girl's name from GoldenEye? The one that just like was
Natalia.
yeah, she was a bullet sponge too.
Yeah, she was awful. Yeah. But I don't understand games that are so dependent on that these days. Like,
They try so hard to be like realistic or to make it a point, but like the thing of it is like this game's story needs you to build a bond with this other character, and you can't do that if that character is getting shot and infuriating you. Like,
Yeah.
realism doesn't matter. The emotional effect on the player matters.
I mean, even in Resident Evil 4, with the parts with Ashley, like, I mean, granted, it wasn't the worst escort, but it still made me like her character less.
That's true.
Having to kind of, like, be
Yeah.
concerned about it, I guess.
I think if Ashley was in a game that's such a sweet shot. If Ashley was in a game where the other characters were more likable, then I think she would have been less likable.
Yeah.
But like because Leon and that game is great. Like, don't get me wrong, I adore Resident Evil 4. It's an incredible game. But like, I mean, it's still Capcom still wrote it. Like, Leon's still a ponce. Like,
Yeah, I never understood why people didn't like people jumped onto that game and hated the other ones, and I grew up playing the other ones.
Yeah, I like the other ones as well.
I don't think it really has to be mutually exclusive. I mean, I feel like you like both the tank controls and the behind the back third person.
Yeah, that game did that so
I
well.
mean, if anything, I think I disliked 4 was just the fact that it kind of killed the survival horror genre as far as fixed camera angles and tank controls.
That's true.
People say they're sloppy or whatever, but at the same time, if you play something like Silent Hill, they're so deliberate.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be a Joe everyman. Like,
Yeah,
you're not
and-
supposed to be able to turn on a dime and shoot something in the head.
Well, yeah, and also like with fixed camera angles, it gives the developers so much more opportunity to scare you, I guess.
Yeah, agreed.
Because it's just like a horror movie; they can set up the scares for you.
KMac is bailing. You have to say bye. You can't just leave.
I was putting my glass on.
He was leaving. He's gone. Here we're getting the RPG, which is the most MVP gun on the run. Bye, KMac.
Bye.
Thank you for your contributions to this video. Everybody wishes Grandma a happy birthday.
Go focus.
The comments will explode with "Happy Birthday, Grandma."
Thumbs down.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of like perverted comments about my grandma
I hope so.
Well, now there will be.
due to this video.
I hope so.
Bring it on.
At least something came out of this
Let's
video.
see what you got, internet.
Bye, Kyle.
See y'all.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
He's also going to a bachelor party tonight. We
Wow.
didn't. Yeah, we didn't mention that.
Yes.
All right.
He's an everyman.
He is.
So many strippers.
Yeah, he's.
He's talking about his grandma's birthday party.
No, I got news for you. He says he's going to a bachelor party, but like nothing good has ever happened to. Nobody has ever pulled off the get some good action and comment on a speedrun world record in the same day. So
Yeah, that's true.
if he gets it, if he gets any strange from a lady of the night or a stripper or whatever they're doing, he will be the first.
Yeah, it's true.
Also a world record.
I guess he could use the "It's my grandma's birthday"
Does that work?
line. It might.
They're gonna be like, whatever. It was probably yesterday, you liar.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna say, "Well, he's so honest." I'll be like, "Well, it was yesterday. Actually, I didn't know it was leaving a lot."
So here I'm killing myself. I'm going to do that a lot over the next half hour. Booker's health right now is exactly where you want it to be for this trick. It should be noted I accidentally kept the machine gun when I picked up the RPG, not the shotgun, which is an error. This is actually the only time I've ever done it, so I guess maybe I should do it more often. But I'm setting traps here so that when the door opens, these guys just blow up instantly. And then the Bronco Vigor is also in here. And I skipped it the first time again, so that animation doesn't happen. There I also didn't pick up any health. This is the first suicide warp in the game. Typically in this game, you go through Wounded Knee, I believe. There's one corner of this museum that commemorates, quote-unquote, the Native American battles. Yeah, Wounded Knee. And then the other one is, I believe, fought in Asia. And here, this door doesn't unlock until you fight both of those, but by killing yourself through the wall and landing at the right spot on the other side, you can go directly through the center part. And then you go backwards here, because to where the gate initially is, because you need those guys to spawn. If those guys don't spawn, then you actually can't get back through the locked door when you need to leave later. And we need another suicide here, so as soon as I trigger the animation, the flag for Elizabeth to unlock that door, I start killing myself again. This is the first time during the run of this game where you can really sort of strut your stuff and do some very, very bizarre things.
Yeah, because you completely skip like the Boxer Rebellion part.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, exactly. And then here, as soon as you get to the gate, you can kill yourself. There's no flag you have to wait on. Elizabeth's dialogue triggers automatically, and you spawn on the other side of the gate. During the normal sequence, there's a long sequence where Booker can't fit through the bars, but Elizabeth can, and she goes through and does the tears tutorial, and then you're supposed to use the prompt to open a hook, and then you use the hook to jump over the gate. But because none of that happened, that hook prompt never triggers, and it's still back there. Because you do that sequence break too, a lot of dialogue starts overlapping. Elizabeth and Booker start saying 2 or 3 things at the same time here, because the game is triggering flags all over the place. 6 fire traps is the correct number to set here. And you have just enough time to do it. As soon as you set the 6th one and sort of get out of the way and refill your salts, the Patriot breaks the glass and comes through. And 6 fire traps will kill him immediately. Then here you can't do it immediately. You trigger this lockpick and then you wait for Elizabeth. The flag happens as soon as she puts the lock in. If you kill yourself before she puts the lock in, when you respawn, the gate will still be locked. That's one of the things that I'm so grateful for the SDA guys and the guys who sort of pioneered learning this game. Because there's a lot of all triggers are not created equal, and there's a lot of very different criteria in this game in order to maximize how fast you're going through the game. Like when you're suiciding through walls and stuff, there are some places where you actually have to land in a certain place, and I know it took those guys a lot of patience and a lot of time to figure out how to make those things work every time. So this is the hook in front of the gate. Underneath us, Slate, who's actually not even an object. We're supposed to be down there where I'm looking when Slate gives this dialogue, because this hook is supposed to be turned off right now. It never got turned on because we suicided through the gate instead of using it. And then that prompt lets me drop in. Again, I can't do anything to Slate here, but this is a zone that's actually out of bounds. You're not supposed to be able to be up here. And then you can actually see these guys spawn on the other side of the gate. They're just going to appear out of nowhere. And then it's very easy to kill all of them because you're very close to them. Typically when this fight takes place, you're down below and they just sort of run rampant, and you have to run around cleaning them up and kind of cat and mouse. But because you can get up here, it's a lot easier. This is also where I typically lose a lot of time. This fight and these sequences here are very tough to get directly. If you don't get the suicide through the very first Lady Comstock Memorial area, then you're basically already screwed as far as getting a good time during this section.
Have you listened to the podcast Retronauts?
I have not.
Okay, well, anybody out there, the podcast Retronauts is actually really excellent. It's just a podcast by some guys who used to work for 1UP.
Oh, okay. I like 1UP.
Yeah, and each week they just talk about different aspects of retro gaming. And last week they actually talked about speedruns and kind of the history of it and everything.
Yeah.
And put it into perspective, I thought was really interesting. And just the sense of how it keeps games alive.
Yes.
Way past their expiration date.
Yes. It's one of its biggest appeals.
Yeah. Which I never thought of before. And also they talk about some of the more notorious ones, like the Super Metroid one.
Yeah.
If you run pointing the gun up and down.
Yeah. You get a frame every. Yeah, exactly. The
stuff
people
like that is so mind-boggling to me.
Zost and Sinister One and all those guys who run Super Metroid are just so I'm. It's not that I'm not proud of a run like this, but some of the skills it takes to run a game like Super Metroid are just, those guys are unbelievable.
Yeah,
Here we spare Slate. Predictably, it is faster. You're a Tin Man now. This is the only vigor in most people's runs where you actually have to watch the animation, because you have to collect this the first time you see it. So Booker shocks himself here like a weirdo. Apologies also, by the way, this is the first time we've done anything like this. If the audio desyncs at any point, whatever. You know what we're talking about.
I just noticed too that Slate looks like the villain of Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
There's some guy, you can shock the water here, it's a cool trick. There's some guys standing in the water on the other side, you can shock them with the shock jockey. And this is why I spawned those guys earlier. Again, they go through this door, even though it's closed still. And that allows me to go through. And then the very first trap we laid there, when we first came in, that clears those guys so I don't have to shoot them when I come back through the door. So that is Hall of Heroes.
That was pretty elaborate.
Yeah, it is choreographed. So you original guys, you know who you are. Well done on that. I am an okay router, and I'm an okay runner if I enjoy the game. But as far as finding exploits and stuff, those PC guys are second to none. Those guys who code for a living and can actually just look for exploits and stuff. Kudos. I'm glad that there's a subculture of guys in the speedrunning community that literally don't even like speedrunning that much, but they just like finding shit to mess up.
Yeah.
And because it makes the hobby possible for everybody else. Booker gets stuck on a wall there like an idiot. But I have to crawl here anyway, so it's not that bad. And I finally got my shotgun. That error has been corrected.
Another thing I personally appreciate about speedruns like of this gen or even the PS2, Xbox gen is there's a lot less tool assisted speedruns. It's a lot more it's a lot more pure, I guess.
Right.
For this, you have to do actual, sure, there's still breaking in a way, but you can't just speed up like you would an emulator, I guess.
Yeah. Original hardware.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the guys. A couple of games I do, like if I'm playing, I'll do on emulators because it's easier. And frankly, I never intended to really grind for a world record. This is completely a product of a lot of very, very good fortune and timing. But the guys who do run hardcore and who compete with each other and things like that and really grind those games for world records, it has to be on the original hardware or they don't count it. And likewise at AGDQ and at the marathons, original hardware is also a requirement. I don't believe you'll ever see anybody run any of those games on emulators at those marathons. It's really funny. After finishing this run, I thought, you know what? Maybe I would be comfortable enough to do this one in a marathon. And then the next night, the run was just so bad that I was like, never ever think that again. We were never going to a marathon with this game. Here I was concerned I actually wouldn't have enough salts to shock jockey open that door, which is again something I have never experienced. I really don't even know what I would have done there. Fortunately, I had just enough, so whatever.
So compared to like your previously best run, how much further ahead?
This run was 14 minutes ahead of my previous run.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, this is a 2:23:30, and Smasher 419's run from 10 months ago. The second best run of this was 2:28:53. And his run is really, really good. His run is tight. Like, it's just extremely tight. In this run, you can plainly see several times it's not very tight. It's a lot tighter at the end than it is at the beginning. There's only one place where just, like, grotesque time loss happens, but that's part of the game. It's actually coming up here pretty soon. This fight's really annoying. The AI on these guys is kind of goofy. Sometimes they'll go off and hide in a corner, and it gets very difficult to sort of track them down sometimes. That's, by the way, the best technique as far as quickly vanquishing those kind of guys is Bronco shotgun. They take too much damage to kill sort of ordinarily, so if you Bronco and then just shoot them off into like the great wide open, that's usually the fastest way to get them out of the way. On a lot of these fights, you do actually need everybody to die before the flag will trigger for the next thing to happen, so it's important for them not to just be stuck on a ledge somewhere, or else the game won't continue. And then, God forbid, you just don't know where that happened, because then you just lose the run out of nowhere. I see. Typically, like I come up here and there's a Patriot down there, which helps a lot. I can't tell you how many times I've turned around and shot at Elizabeth because she flies up the skyhook behind you here, and I just think she's an enemy. So the dev team on Infinite again was very wise to not make Elizabeth a shootable, health-oriented object. And here I foolishly gather health. I guess I'm wanting ammo out of these pickups because I don't want health because we're getting ready for another suicide. As you'll see, I'm sure I'll start shooting myself here again before long. But this basically completes what I consider Act 1 of the game. This is kind of the last part before you go to the story diverges away from Comstock and goes toward Jeremiah Fink and the Daisy Fitzroy Shantytown Rebellion. And I think my previous best on this one was I got 59, and this was a 57.05. So I already knew it was okay, but I think I don't know. I'm not very cutthroat about it. I don't care, but I would think that if I got to about a 215, 216, that's probably as fast as I feel like I can beat this game. And right here, Elizabeth won't pick locks in combat, so it's always a nightmare if you go up to that lock and then she says can't pick locks because of combat, because that means some lackey is on a ledge somewhere not cooperating, and then you have to go find him, and then your time gets very slow. This is another one of those things that I'm glad somebody else found. This is another suicide. You can suicide at a certain point while you're riding up this barge, and once the barge goes past or the gondola passes a certain point, you'll spawn at the top instead of the bottom. But there's no super good queue, so after the Booker's last line of dialogue here, you count to 3, then do it. I've never had it screw up, because I never really get greedy with it, but this is like the last kind words Booker and Elizabeth have together before she hits him in the face with a wrench. And he deserves it.
He does. He does deserve it.
So that's the suicide. You can actually, if you look, you'll see the gondola still coming up behind us without us on it. Good, you Bronco here to clear these guys out of the way.
Yeah, Booker always struck me in the same way that John Marston did, where like you'll like him, but he's also kind of a prick.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah,
Yeah. One of the things people have argued is some of the choices, like killing Slate or sparing Slate, are choices that don't matter. And while that's true in the strictest sense, I don't think that's entirely true, because I think it helps you define how you look at Booker.
Yeah, and I don't think it really changes the game either way, like objectively. It changes how you look at it. But
exactly. It helps you define sort of who you think Booker is, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Even maybe just like the bird in the cage, like in a much more subtle way, but I do think those choices, they don't matter the way choices in Fallout 3 and Skyrim matter. But I think to say they just don't matter, I think is a little short-sighted.
It's always a common thing people throw around these days. I feel like in the wake of Mass Effect, or Walking Dead, or whatever, people like to say, "Oh, my choices didn't matter," as if they expect that the devs would make, essentially 20 different Act 3s.
For sure. Yeah, especially something like Telltale, like they have infinite money.
Yeah, like you have to be realistic to a degree, and so when you say your decisions don't matter, it's really just ignorant.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was bitter. Mass Effect 3, I was bitter about.
Yeah,
but that's it. That's its own monster.
Yeah.
Beat that dead horse for a few more minutes.
Like, I remember hearing a lot of backlash about the Walking Dead game. It was like people expected, based on their choices, they would get like a whole new game almost.
Yeah.
It's just not realistic at all. And,
have you played any of the new one?
I haven't. No.
I can't do the episodic thing.
I can't either. That's why I've been holding on.
Yeah, I just wait for the whole thing.
Because from what I can tell, it seems like their release schedule slowed down a lot since season 1.
Yeah. How often was it in season 1? Because I just got it. I just paid $20 at the end.
Yeah, I think it was. That's what I did too. I think it was like, I want to say like every other month maybe.
Yeah.
But now it's been so erratic.
Wow, every other month? That's still long.
Yeah, but I mean,
I couldn't deal with that.
It's like now they're doing the Wolf Among Us as well. And they're kind of alternating.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's just kind of. It's been weird, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Once it all finished.
I'm excited. The first season was great.
Oh yeah, I loved it. That was one of my favorite games of that year.
It goes to show that like people don't just arbitrarily hate David Cage because of the game style.
Yeah.
They hate him because he just doesn't know what he's doing with it.
Yeah, it's true.
Because Telltale, that Telltale game was really, really good.
Yeah.
This is usually my last pee break during a run. This is the last like really long sequence. It's like 3 minutes of dialogue. There's lots of 45-second, 1-minute ones later, but that's usually not enough time to get the job done. I drink too much when I'm playing.
Yeah.
Like I've got to put away like 3 waters every hour.
Yeah, stay hydrated. Game fuel.
Esports.
Yeah.
So the game really diverges here plot-wise. How do you feel about Miss Fitzroy, her contributions to this plot?
I mean, honestly, for me, it kind of started to drag a little bit in the middle.
Sure. It's a lull. Like I think it's universally the least of the 3, just because it's a little bit of an offshoot.
Yeah, it felt like it kind of lost its urgency for me.
Sure.
But I still enjoyed it, just not nearly as much.
Yeah. I thought it was cool to see the other side of it. Yeah. It's nice to go from Columbia, this hyper gentrified, white, horrible utopia, to to see like the people who are suffering as a result of it.
It's true.
I feel like it's a big deal. Those people who like said this game like put them off because it was so pretty but so violent couldn't have missed the point harder.
Yeah, I really.
All right, I think we're going again. I hope we're going again.
Well, yeah, a little intermission there.
Yeah, there was a brief silence, and that's where the program was unable to continue recording continuously, so we had to split it into 2 audio files. But anyway, yeah, the violence people missed the point.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. If I don't know, whatever, it's my world. I can say what I want. If you are a games journalist or a journalist of media in general, and you see a game with tons of American imagery that mixes beauty with violence, and your first thought is that the violence is ugly, maybe you should look into getting another position, because you may be a little short-sighted to be reviewing artistic mediums.
I felt like that was the whole point of the violence, was just to establish the dichotomy of it.
Exactly. And I really don't think that could have been more apparent.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's almost sad. But anyway, on the other side of the soapbox. So this fight here is really annoying to me because I need a volley gun. I don't need it, but I much prefer to have the volley gun. And a lot of the other runners don't seem to have a problem with this, but sometimes this volley gun guy just does not spawn, or he jumps off the barge he's on, and I have to sort of raw dog it with a shotgun for the rest, or at least most of the rest of the game. And it makes the run a lot harder to do optimally. But fortunately for me, that did not happen this time. Volley gun guy, this is what I do every time. I sort of wait for this guy and then peek around the corner and look for volleys flying. And I knew I was in good shape when I saw that guy slinging hailfire. He even jumped off. Like, look at him right there. He came to me. Most of the time, he'll even if he doesn't just kill himself or ruin my life, he'll jump up on the skyhook and ride it to the next thing up. He may have actually done that here, but I do know for a fact I did get the volley gun in this run. The other guys have no issue with it. It drives me insane. I swear to you, I've watched this guy because I did a lot of study on it, like because I wanted to figure it out. And I was reloading checkpoints and stuff, and I swear one time I watched him jump off the barge to his own demise. Wow. So intimidated of Booker DeWitt's gunslinging badassery that he took the concrete plunge.
Yeah, I was never a big volley gun guy. It never really did anything for me.
It didn't do anything for me either until I started. In a speed run, it's just the next best thing to mandatory.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does some damage. It also, one of the biggest benefits too is it's the other gun that can ricochet. So if you're low on RPG ammo and you need to kill yourself, you can use the volley gun.
Oh, nice.
Deploy parachute. Yeah, the RPG and the volley gun are pretty crucial. You can get by with just one, but it's not going to be pleasant. Oh, Booker. What have you gotten yourself into?
What a mess. This game made me really wish that airships would have taken off.
That's a good word used.
I didn't mean to do that.
Of course you did. Don't hide it.
Besides the whole, flammability and eruption parts of it, made it seem really enticing.
Yeah.
This game has a really cool aesthetic. I don't know what you would call it. It's not really steampunk. It's more like
yeah.
It's more like 1920s.
It has some steampunk like little tinges on the side, but it's not like I don't look at this game and go steampunk.
Yeah, it's more like Art Deco than steampunk.
Yeah.
It's more like I don't know.
I think that's why I like it.
Yeah, me too. I like the aesthetic of the first one even more.
Yeah.
Just like
well, it's creepy.
Well, yeah, like the 1930s aesthetic mixed with like this futuristic water setting.
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's imaginative. It's sad that this game is never going to be in the same historical context of that game.
Yeah, it really is a shame.
Yeah, because Bioshock, I'm pretty sure, has already cemented its place on the greatest things that ever hit our TV. bleachers, but
I mean, that game was pretty. I mean, that game was crazy. I remember downloading the demo when it first came out and just being blown away by how it looked and how it played.
isn't it amazing how long ago that game came out that we haven't come up with a whole lot better or equal to it?
Yeah, I mean,
it's been a minute.
Yeah, that's one of the last
7 years.
Well, I'm trying to think. Was that before? That was.
I'm almost positive it was 07.
Yeah, it was. I feel like that was one of the last big like blockbuster single player FPSs.
Before it got all homogenized and
yeah,
military and
yeah, because I mean there was like your Halos obviously.
Yeah.
Bioshock was the first one I think for 360 especially that really kind of broke the mold, I guess.
yeah, it's possible. I was real late to the gen. I didn't play Bioshock until like 2011, maybe 2010.
That was a late add on the PS3, wasn't it? It wasn't exclusive.
Probably, yeah. Oh, it definitely wasn't exclusive. I actually, heartbrokenly, my wife got me the PC version, and the computer. It was the first game that computer just wouldn't even budge, and nothing ever came of it. But yeah, all these years later, I was redeemed and got there. This is another. This is the part of the game where most of your runs are lost. This is actually the hardest skip in the game, I think. Here, this flag triggers as soon as Elizabeth starts talking, so as soon as her subtitle pops up is when I pull the trigger here. And it actually respawns you back at the Finkton Worker Induction Center gate, but believe it or not, running all the way back down these hallways is faster than standing there and waiting for the elevator. And we are, of course, putting ourselves again in position to kill ourselves at will. This is the most infamous skip in this game. It is a nightmare. I can't tell you how many times I've thought about just not running this game anymore. One of the great things about the speedrunning community is that it's such a great community. Smasher, who had the previous world record for this game, was a complete stranger, had no incentive whatsoever. He actually allowed me to send him I wasn't streaming at the time. I didn't have the technology or whatever, so he let me send him a shoddy, blinky, hardly intelligible cell phone video so he could give me tips and feedback on what I was doing wrong on this skip, and that's what helped me learn it. So, Smasher, thank you. But yeah, this game does not have manual saves, so every time I wanted to grind this skip or work on this skip, I had to respawn at the Finkton Induction Center and replay that fight and then ride the elevator down and so on. So I have spent a lot of time in this elevator.
That's strange that that manual saves.
It is. I won't lie to you. It would be a lot. I would run it on a marathon if it did, because it would be a lot easier to sort of not gum up when you screw up or when something bad happens.
Right.
So one of the great things about speedrunning is, like life, there are things you control and things you cannot. You just sort of make the best of it.
Yeah.
I'm emulating Booker's whistle when he sees that. Some Fink propaganda approaching. Okay, so this is the now famous / infamous factory skip. To put it in perspective how just irritatingly awful this skip is, Smasher in his world record run needed about, I want to say 12 or 15 jumps to get it. It's done in 2 parts. To set up the skip, you wait until you regain control of Booker in this elevator, and then you will kill yourself. And for whatever reason, there's supposed to be a scene at the bottom of this elevator with Mr. Flambeau who gives you a gear and opens Finkton up to you. When you shoot yourself here, if you do it fast enough, you end up respawning at a point that is not really a respawn point, as far as I know, until you get way later down here. And more importantly, it does not trigger combat. This is actually a hostile zone, but that respawn allows you to not go into combat when you respawn down there, which allows Elizabeth to, for whatever reason, come up here on this rooftop, where she is actually not supposed to be. And the game also treats her like a solid object, so you're able to jump on her head. This part of the run is the only part of this world record run that went disastrously. This is actually the easier part of the 2-part factory skip, and for whatever reason, I could not buy luck in jumping on her head and jumping over. Like, I really liked her positioning. It seemed really fast. This is something, like, you don't typically have a lot of trouble with. It's not easy, and the way she moves with the crosshairs is a little finicky, but this was an absolute unmitigated train wreck. But again, it was the only train wreck, so the best I've done on the actual factory skip parts, the hard part, the frame perfect part, is like 5 or 6 tries. And the reason I didn't just turn the game off and go to bed here is because I was going to practice the hard part of the skip when I finally did get up there, and I accidentally, for the first time, I got the jump in the very, very first try. And the world record was born. So yeah, this is a mess. But the second part of it which is typically a mess, and typically the hardest part, went absolutely so perfectly, so ideally, will never happen to me again in my life. That it was the first part of this run where my time being ahead actually mattered. It was like, well, because this is where you start gaining a ton of time or losing a ton of time. The skip is like your best friend and worst enemy.
So what determines you getting up there? Because it looks like you've gotten,
Yeah, Elizabeth being really close to the wall is really big, and you have to get like pretty square on her head.
Oh.
Like that looks really good to me.
Yeah.
But like sometimes like that little bit of space is enough. But sometimes you can just bounce enough to just sort of clear it. It's really, really finicky, but especially with the volley gun, I usually don't have a whole lot of trouble with it, which is why it's so funny that it's the one thing that went wrong in this record. But the hard part of it at the top, once I finally get up there, again, it'll never happen to me again in my life. I guarantee it. I was so ready to go to bed at this point right now because Elizabeth had just completely screwed me. But I got the jump and was still way ahead of time, so I was like, well, whatever. I guess we're gonna keep going. So I'm actually really excited. I haven't seen this since it first happened. But yeah, it really sucks because actually this is why I think a 215, 216 is possible, because with all the little cleanup stuff I could have done, plus Elizabeth not hosing me like she is right here.
Yeah, this type of shit would just drive me absolutely insane.
Well, you just don't get invested. Like honestly, like I said, like even on a normal run, I don't care because I wasn't grinding for a world record.
Yeah,
it was just
sure.
it's just the only thing that sucks about it is when you're first learning games and you're first learning tricks and stuff, you need to know what's hard, what's not hard, and what's out of your control. Like, because of how often I've done this, I've accepted that this can happen. Like, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. Like, I'll turn the game off, and then when I want to play again, I'll play again. But it's like, it doesn't bother me.
Right.
Like, I wasn't even paying attention to my time. Like, that's one, like, I feel bad. Here comes the hole in one. I don't know what I'm doing here. But this is the one-time dealer jump. First try.
It's very good.
Yeah, that was a nice one. Yeah, so I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to bed.
The golem was around.
Yeah, so I was still 43 seconds ahead of time there. If I had gotten that Elizabeth jump in any kind of reasonable fashion, I was probably going to be 3 or 4 minutes ahead, maybe more. But the nature of that jump is because of how the collision detection works, if you zoom down sights at just the right frame, Booker will get stuck, and you can walk forward because he's stuck between the two ledges, and then it carries you all the way to this section, and then you suicide through that wall, so you don't have to fight the Zeppelin fight. And then you go up here, and you're at the factory fight with Daisy Fitzroy. That skips Chen Lin. It skips the Good Time Club fight, where you have to go down and find dead Chen Lin, open a tear, go to the bull yard to get the weapons back or whatever, Chen Lin's machinery, and also that's your PSN name.
It is my PSN. Yes, there I am. Right
join
there.
him, friend him.
I was probably in between episodes of How I Met Your Mother. So,
that's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't judge. But also, and then Shantytown as well. Like, it's like 4 or 5 sections. It's about 20 minutes. And you skip all of it.
That's a pretty huge skip.
That is, yeah, it's the biggest one. The new skip, the one that Smasher did not have access to, is maybe the only one that really comes close to that. Well, it's where you skip all 3 Lady Comstock ghost fights. New technology.
Something I wish I would have been able to do anyway.
That's the one scene that this game no longer has that I really wish it had. There's some great dialogue between the final ghost and Elizabeth before the ghost opens the gate to Comstock House. Mm-hmm. It's very, very pretty. And a gentleman by the name of DumDumDugan found a way to reliably skip that without the use of a certain gear. So, although I missed that scene, huge shout out to DumDumDugan.
Good name.
I love it. He's such a quiet. He never really appears either. I think he's one of those people who just likes breaking games and then just disappearing. Yeah. Speaking of Resident Evil 4, he's like the merchant. He just appears and then gives you a little help and then vanishes into the night again. What are you selling? So yeah, it's one beautiful thing. If you don't like the second act of this game, is you can skip 98% of it. This is a recurring motif of in this part of the game, though, is elevators and phones ringing on them.
Which is another thing I didn't pick up on until I beat the game and saw it all kind of compressed.
Yeah.
Because I guess when you play it over the course of a couple of weeks, you kind of lose some of the recurring motifs, I guess.
Yeah.
This game definitely benefits from playing it all at once, I think, if you can.
Yeah.
Or as close together as possible.
Take a bow. Yeah, water is another one. There's a lot of water stuff going on as well. Speaking of water stuff, this is another thing that most people do not do in this run, but I divert. I do pick up this undertow vigor, even though it's the first time you get it, and you have to watch the Booker transformation animation. Most people skip this and do not get it at all throughout the run. I think it makes some of the barge fights insanely easy and worth the extra 30 seconds, 20 seconds of waiting on that animation to finish.
That animation is one of my least favorite ones.
Really?
Vigor.
It's the tentacles, isn't it?
It always freak me out. The holes in the hands and shit. It just freaks me out. I don't know why. It's a question.
You gotta grow up sometime,
it's
man.
It's a question for the
You live long enough, you're gonna see a grown man with tentacles for arms. It's something you're just gonna have to accept.
That was part of my teenage years, actually.
I've tried hard to forget.
Yeah, you stumble on that part of the internet, and all bets are off. You become a man.
I don't know if KMac has ever told you. We went to a minor league baseball game. Not the one the other night. It was about a year ago, I guess. Mm-hmm. And there was a strange gentleman, maybe of a learning difference nature. Older man, he was probably in his 40s. So this undertow just does work right there. That is so worth that time. But anyway, there was a team on the home team, or a player on the home team, whose last name was Betts. And every time he came up to bat, this strange man would yell, "All bets are off," in a cheerful and self-congratulatory manner.
That guy needs to get that trademarked. That's a t-shirt waiting to happen.
He said some interesting things. He sang a pop song for a while. He had a Mitt Romney shirt on.
Well, not nice, but
it was still funny. Like it made it better. Like it made it appropriate.
Like I feel like that Betts guy should be a pro wrestler, and the guy should be his manager. And just every promo just ends with "all bets are off," and that's just it. I believe somebody, I don't remember if it was KMac or my wife or who, somebody I think got a picture of him posing with two people. I don't know. I know one of them was like a gorilla mascot, or like a guy with a gorilla mask, and the other one, I don't remember the other one. It's a little hazy, but it's a very funny picture in which he is the most normal looking of the three. And, based on what I've told you, he wasn't exactly on the straight and narrow. So he was an interesting dude, but yeah, all bets are off. Every time somebody says that, I think of that gentleman. It's a good one.
Yeah. I wish I could remember. The number was 22. And there's a pop song that uses that number, and I'm too old to know what it is, but it's
like Taylor Swift song.
Yeah, it's the Taylor Swift. So he would sing that he was rooting for number 22.
Nice.
In the same fashion, in the same melody, or at least an attempt at the same melody. And oh man, it was entertaining.
It's like a free Weird Al show, basically.
He kind of looked like Weird Al.
Oh, maybe it was Weird Al.
It may have been. What's he doing now?
I don't know.
Going to minor league games.
Not making a UHS sequel.
You are just all about like failed projects.
I think I am. I think I'm just like destined to be the savior for failed media projects from 20 years ago.
Can you? How like if I said UHF, like if you were at like a some kind of like academic competition, and I said UHF, how long could you talk about UHF into a microphone to a crowd of people?
It's been a few years since I've seen it, so not very long.
Okay.
I could recount the Badgers part. I could recount the part where
Michael Richards was in there.
Michael Richards was in it.
Seinfeld's Michael Richards.
Victoria Jackson, Seinfeld, or
SNL's Victoria.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Fox News's Victoria Jackson.
Is she on Fox?
Yeah, she's like crazy conservative now.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, she's got to do something.
Yeah, she's like one of those ones who's like rants and raves about like the end times and stuff. It's
oh
strange.
wow, that's really funny.
Yeah, she's one of those.
She never left the runway, did she?
No.
SNL's a fickle mistress. Like it can get you there, and then it can just do nothing for you.
Yeah, I feel like it's very one or the other with SNL. Like you don't just kind of get moderate success out of SNL.
What about Daryl Hammond or Tim Meadows? I feel like that's moderate success.
Yeah, I guess they were.
In the comments, tell us your 10 favorite SNL cast members of all time.
And if any of them is Will Forte, don't bother posting.
This comment has been disabled by the user. I don't know what it actually says. It runs in the family. Elizabeth says that after she stabs Daisy Fitzroy to death. That would be foreshadowing. Because at this point you don't know who she is, but because she's referencing Comstock.
Right.
But really, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's good writing.
Yeah, it is.
That's good writing. That's good action.
R.I.P. Ken Levine.
Oh, I love Ken Levine. Ken Levine's a wonderful man and a creative entity in an industry that sometimes lacks both of those things.
I don't know what his next plans are, but I will be on board with
He is doing the script to Logan's Run.
Nice.
The Logan's Run remake. That should be not terribly far. Yeah, movies take forever, but
yeah.
He's been. I want to say he's been working on that for at least a year.
I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah, I mean, you
Logan's
could just get stuck
classic.
in production hell. Logan's Run's creepy.
Anybody watching has not seen Logan's Run.
Logan's Run is. I'd watch it, but it's I feel like the book's probably better.
Probably, yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because that's true 90% of the time. I'm saying that because it's a film that's very stuck in its decade.
Yeah, it is.
It is a film of the 70s.
With Michael York of Austin Powers fame
Yeah.
running around.
In a creepy way. Like, he
creepy,
was an unusual casting choice for that, I thought.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? How do you feel about A Clockwork Orange in terms of its... I can't look at that film. It's a good movie. I'm not saying it's not.
Right.
But I cannot look at that film without just having 70s screaming in my face.
It definitely does.
Yeah. And that shouldn't be a fault, but 2001 didn't look like it was stuck in a period to me. 2001 looked like a futuristic movie that was made a long time ago.
That's true. Yeah.
Clockwork Orange looks like a movie that was made in the 70s that tried to look like it wasn't made in the 70s.
Yeah, it's got like a really, really overstated mid-century modern aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like it just because it sets the movie so apart.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. It does kind of date it.
Yeah.
And 2001, outside of like the hairstyles and stuff, doesn't really age, or doesn't really, it can't really get dated.
It did fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think people have the soft spot for that whole retro future style anyway, of like the
Sure.
world of tomorrow and all
Yeah.
that. But yeah.
This is what I consider the entrance to the last act, where you after the ship crashes when you're leaving, when you're about to escape and Songbird stops you again, and then you land in Emporia. This is, and if you manage to escape the factory skip, because say what you want about the factory skip, it can be tedious, but there's no actual pressure besides time. Like you're not being shot at. You just kind of work at your pace until you get it. These next three splits are absolutely miserable because of they're very sensitive in terms of if you screw them up, then you're kind of boned. So of course it's convenient that it's so late in the game.
Yeah.
People always ask why I do this, why I jump on the rail. There's a fight up ahead, but if you don't walk across that lamp, like the normal route you should be walking across that bridge, the enemies actually don't trigger.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's one of the easiest skips in the game. This is actually a really long fight, but because they don't spawn, because you kind of imagine it as like a tripwire. Then here's a really bizarre, just time saver where as soon as you run back to these stairs and then just turn around, you'll see Elizabeth is already done. But that's how far you have to come back for that to happen. If you don't go back far enough, then she'll still be unlocking the door when you come back. And still doing like normal bits of dialogue. Another subtle thing about how much faster the PC run is too, is I think that you can hotkey all these vigors, whereas here you have to use the wheel and kind of aim for the vigor you want, as opposed to just pressing a button and having it. Yeah. This is maybe the skip I hate the most. It's after a fight, it's not immediate, but it's another suicide through a gate, but it's like the Hall of Heroes one. If you go too far, you spawn enemies. It triggers combat, and as we know, Elizabeth won't unlock doors during combat. And if you don't go far enough, then you obviously just didn't go far enough, and you spawn back on the wrong side of the gate. So, and this is one where if you screw it up or if you miss it, you have to endure the entire fight. And that's a really long fight. And then the other option would be to reload a checkpoint, and the checkpoint reload is actually down here where we are now. And you would have to re-ride the gondola back up past the Lutece screwing around scene. It's the scene where they're hitting a baseball and painting and doing stuff on the way up here. So that's the message you get if you're in combat. So Elizabeth will not unlock doors in combat. Despite my best efforts. If she would, the speedrun would be real easy. Oh, man. So the last split, I was 39 seconds ahead of pace, which is still, it's so funny to think about how far through the game I went, and I was only, like on my first split, I was only 16 ahead, so it's like, this game has such a fun ebb and flow when you're running it to where anything can happen. It's a lot more fun to run a game like that, I think, than a game where you just know you have to reset after a certain point if you screw up or whatever.
Like Tiny Toons.
Yeah. Well, Tiny Toons is short enough, I don't care.
Yeah.
Also, nobody plays that stupid game with me. Here is both a clever joke as well as a foreshadow, where he's painting himself instead of her. It's a joke because he's egotistical. It's actually foreshadowing because they're the same person. Get on Ken Levine's level, rest of game industry. We're not as stupid as you think we are.
I wish some book publisher would just give him oodles of money to just write a novel.
Well, he's doing I think he's doing some independent stuff now, like where he's making games with like a team of like 13 or 14 other people. And
that's even better, yeah.
Yeah, making some indie stuff. God knows he's got the money.
Yeah.
People talk about how tragic it is that this game took so long that even as well as it did, it wasn't profitable. I consider it a blessing because I guarantee you they wouldn't have made a game better than this anyway, so yeah. Might as well go out on top. Get our charge vigor.
Yeah, like, I mean, honestly, I was bummed about it.
Smasher419 is now online. Former world record holder and the greatest player of this game ever. Good man.
Yeah, I was bummed like this was going to be the last Bioshock, but at the same time, I don't really know where they could have gone.
Yeah. This game is just, they had the money to do it. They had the vision to do it. It's a pretty once-in-a-gen game.
Yeah, I feel like it's a perfect capstone for the trilogy because, or even just the two.
The two, yeah, let's call it.
I mean,
this is that suicide where if you can't go through too far, you spawn those enemies. Unfortunately, I did not. And then as soon as you get respawn, you hit the lockpick before combat triggers, and then you get out of the way so nobody sees you. Because if enemies see you or a turret sees you or whatever, then she'll stop locking mid-combat. Yeah, I don't know where else it could have gone either, honestly. I'm happy to end on this.
Yeah, I mean, both games are so, like, you know, two sides of the same coin anyway.
Yeah.
In so many ways that they complement each other, but the third one would just either be like, redundant or...
Yeah, we don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this game was definitely, I think, a perfect storm of basically everything you want in the game. There are a lot of really, really good games this gen. So when I say once in a gen, I think it's not necessarily like games this good haven't come out, but this game I think is good in a way that other games. It's a different kind of good. It has a lot of different, really, really strong qualities to it, as opposed to just being like The Last of Us, which is just a very good game.
Yeah.
Just a very, very tight, competently made, substantial game. Half-Life 2, I feel the same way about. Like Half-Life 2 is a great game, but it's
Yeah.
nobody tears up at the end of Half-Life 2.
Right. For my money, Last was probably my favorite game of the last gen.
Yep. That is an opinion I cannot argue with. It's very, very good.
Just like gameplay wise, length wise. I mean, I was shocked that game was as long as it was.
Oh yeah. How long did you put? I feel like it was 15 to like 18.
Yeah, I think it was about 15 for me.
Probably double the length that most games are now.
I mean, I remember being halfway through that game and thinking that it was like the climactic like epilogue.
Yeah.
Like whenever the season changed.
Yep.
I remember thinking that was like the epilogue cutscene, not realizing that there was like a whole 8 hours left of the game.
Halfway over.
Yeah, I was really surprised because I was ready to be over with the game. I mean, I thought not ready, but like I was like, that was a good game.
That's
like,
fair.
This
Yeah.
is the ending. Yeah. So when it kept going, I was actually really, really pleased.
I think it's very telling too. This is a good time. We're actually recording this the week after Watch Dogs finally landed, and it speaks to how rare it is for a game like The Last of Us to live up to, and in some people's minds, exceed the hype surrounding it.
I played Watch Dogs the other night.
How'd it go?
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, granted, I played for PS3, so it was definitely a very nerfed version.
Sure.
Almost in the sense that it just looked like they took the PS4 game and they just downscaled to the point where like there's so little draw distance. There's like some textures are just so off. It's just off. Like they didn't put any effort into it.
Yeah.
I thought the driving was horrible. The driving feels really. I feel like after Grand Theft Auto 5, you can't, unless you just replicate that driving, you can't even bother to try to compete because it's got that weird, almost like arcadey feel that like Grand Theft Auto 3 had.
Yeah.
But like, there's no excuse for that these days.
Yeah.
That's just too far behind.
Yeah. You're regressing. I mean, they probably skipped on it. That game was an example of just how absurdly over budgeted games are these days.
And in my opinion too, I mean, I didn't play a whole lot of it, but it felt like even after all the time and money they put into it, it still didn't feel finished.
Yeah.
Like, there were aspects of it that just didn't feel like that was all they could have done. The hacking for me kind of got old after a while. I mean,
yeah, I've heard it's semi-repetitive.
Yeah, like you kind of get it and that's it. The story's okay, but like it wasn't a bad game by any means. But it was just the epitome of like a 7 out of 10 for me. Like it was just okay. Like, which is so disappointing because I remember the first E3 reveal. I remember thinking it was the greatest game of like the generation probably.
We're getting ready to have a huge sequence break here. My split on the last one was up 4 minutes 11 seconds, so that was the beginning of it becoming apparent that as long as things went okay from here, we were looking at a world record. This skip is my least favorite in terms of major skips. It's obnoxious. It's really hard to have the amount of everything you need in terms of like ammo, salts to like knock that guy off. You're gonna jump against a building here, and barely made that. But yeah, for whatever reason, the detection's weird and it allows Booker to rise instead of fall there. And then the next thing we do is we're going to die over here. Typically I have to manipulate my health so that this fall will kill me exactly, but I actually just landed with it perfect. So this is, again, without Elizabeth, like so many things went my way in this run that it's unbelievable. And because I died over there, that's another place that a lot of people don't do that. They go for a jump that's closer to where you land after the building lifts you up. But that jump was extremely hard and extremely precise not to get stuck in a wall, and if you screw it up, you've got to redo the whole fight.
Wow.
So I like to do that strat. We also used to have to make sure to kill the handyman down there. He would kill himself if you did that jump, but because now we no longer fight the Lady Comstock ghosts, we don't need the handyman to even spawn, let alone die. So enemies are supposed to be here, but because I died where I did, they do not. This upcoming here, this is the skip made reliable or discovered to be at least semi-reliable. Sometimes I still can't get it, but this is the skip Smasher was not aware of and did not exist, or was not discovered, I should say, before when he did his world record. So this is where I got the huge advantage on his time. Again, DumDumDugan made this skip reliable. It's doable with Hill Runner's Hat, which is a gear that a lot of people get, or that they grind. You can sort of just restart checkpoints near a gear when you're on PC. On console, it's much more tedious because the reloads take so long. But yeah, we had been trying for a really long time to get to figure out how the skip works. We had done it with just no reliability. We would have guys try to get through this Comstock gate with a suicide and just grind it for hours and hours, and they just could not get it. And then this method was found, and it's still not 100%, but it's the most consistent we've found without using that gear that I don't like to grind for, because again, I don't like to reset all the time. But yeah, you're going to see me do some very unusual things, and thank you to DumDumDugan for this one. This is what made the record. I was just fortunate enough to be running the game very recently after this trick was discovered, so I have no qualms that this world record will not be here forever, but there you go. Other side of the gate.
That kind of skip was amazing, just because, like, how did he find that?
I don't know. I mean, the man appears and disappears on
such precise.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. I think he was messing with checkpoints, because I don't know. Like I said, the night after this that I completed this run, I just could not get that skip to save my life. The run was already dead. I didn't care. But yeah, I haven't played it actually since those had failed so bad. So I think it has to do with checkpoints. Like, you stay on the rails, and the game doesn't reset your checkpoint. So when you die, it goes to the last one, which was when you suicided through the gate. That's the best sort of half-ass, sort of unknowledgeable explanation I can think of. And then this is Comstock House, and we're well inside. The run's only got about 40 minutes left. But yeah, you can see on the side where my splits are that I had a really good downtown area. I was 4 minutes 11 ahead, but getting that Comstock, Lady Comstock, the gate skip there, put me 12 minutes 41 seconds ahead, which is obviously where this record sort of burst out of the belly. How do you feel about Songbird as a character? He's sort of an interesting plot device. Like, he's obviously symbolic. He's obviously, like, important. But he only appears now and again. He doesn't really talk.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it just because, like, I was afraid they were going to be setting it up as just like your stereotypical boss character that would kind of pop in and out.
I fully expected for the final boss of this game to be Songbird on my first play. This is such a heartbreaking slow-mo here. They really did a great job of progressing the Booker and Elizabeth relationship very little by little. Like, a lot of games sort of skimp on it and just say, you know, captor and hero. Like, you're obviously instantaneously going to have a relationship, but that was too lazy for Mr. Levine and his crew. I just really liked it. Like, the first time she sees you kill people, she's absolutely horrified by it and condemns you. Calls you out for being the dick that you are.
Yeah, like, back to the violence argument, like, it's in the game. Like,
yeah,
that right there is, like, you know, the cornerstone of what it's trying to say.
Yeah, and especially, like, I mean, we skipped it in the run, but, like, the Wounded Knee, like, when you're in Slate in Hall of Heroes.
Yeah.
First of all, the obvious satirical name, Hall of Heroes.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really cool skip, too. This can end a run if you're not careful, but there's actually a very small hitbox where you skip the entirety of Comstock House by charging this turret here. You have to line it up and whoosh.
Nice.
Yep, it's like 2 or 3 floors of sneaking by the. I don't know the actual name of the enemy, but the guy with horns, the loudspeakers on his face who alerts the patients or whatever. The guy you can't actually hit, but if he sees you, he sounds the alarm.
Yeah. It scared the piss out of me, by the way.
Yeah, it is a scary one. Especially on your first go.
Yeah, this is probably the scariest part of the game, I think.
It is. It's extremely creepy, extremely dark. And
when the head falls off the statue unexpectedly.
Yeah.
That definitely got me.
Excuse me. This is one of the coolest places. Like I said recently, I went back through and got all the Voxophones, and this is one of the coolest places to find Voxophones because of you get to hear. I think it's the first time in the game where you get to listen to Elizabeth. Like Elizabeth leaves a lot of diaries around this area. It's like future Elizabeth, the one who has been indoctrinated and sort of succumbed to the dark, inevitable theology of Columbia and Comstock and all that.
Right.
I got a trophy for that, by the way. You get a trophy for all the Voxophones.
Nice.
I was pleasantly surprised because I looked up the guide for it, then I finally searched them all out and got the little ding.
I was very disappointed because I thought I was on track to get them all because I was being pretty thorough. I thought.
There's 80, I think. 80.
Yeah,
that's so many.
Yeah, I missed quite a few. It was pretty aggravating.
Yeah. I don't like those finders trophies. Like, I understand, but like, for the guys who want, I guess the guys who grind trophies don't care. Like, that's what they're doing it anyway. But like I'm not a trophy guy, but some of those just feel so cheap. Like, I think there's one in Lollipop Chainsaw where you have to beat the game without being hit. It's just like, why do you torture people like that?
Yeah, it's just like forced replayability, basically.
Yeah, like, don't be a dick. And then I think I got gold on this split as well. Not a lot of red splits flying around on this run. Getting the turret skip on the first try is always a bonus. Like I said, like past that Elizabeth jump, like this run really couldn't have gone much better. Unfortunately, my runs will all look like crap from here. That's the other side of the speedrun coin. Is as soon as you get all those beautiful splits, like during a run like this, the next time you run it, like unless you're perfect, it just looks like crap. Just splits bleeding all over your screen. I love this New York scene. It's so gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I love it.
This is where I lose time a lot of times because I'll forget that there's a button prompt where Elizabeth hands you the card to give to current Elizabeth, and I'll just be like zoning out or reading the chat like a jackass. And I'll be like, people in the chat will start saying shit like, "Hey, press square." I'm like, "What?" And then I'll look back and I've just been standing there. I would say that I hope this audio actually pans out and goes well, so I don't have to do this again. But I don't know if saying that actually adds much to the probability it happens or doesn't happen either way.
Right. We can hope, I guess.
A man can dream.
Dog.
We have a dog. We're joined by special guest Milton the Weimaraner. So if there are any loud barks into the microphone, there's a good chance that is not me or JDerm, that is actually Milton. He's a good dog. We're approaching Milton's dinner time, so he's going to get restless. So it's hilarious. I almost die here every time. And when I say almost die, I mean literally. I think this is one where I had literally no health. Like, I couldn't see health on the screen, but was alive. Just the amount of health I have here. And then Smasher, fortunately, very recently told me that there's actually one more suicide skip that I was not aware of, and that I use in this run to great effect. And it was very easy to do because, again, I never have any fucking life here. He gets me one time, so it's like, you can see my health is literally just non-existent. I have a shield and a vague hint of redness on the side there. I hate these parts, like in Elizabeth's Tower, with songbirds attacking, like where you can't run properly because the game is earthquaking.
Yeah.
It just like holds me up. It's just to spite the speedrunners, is all that is. This is also one of my favorite dialogues in the game. It's so... The dialogue between them is just so unbelievably paternal daughter, just in what they're doing and how they're talking while they're doing it. It's also the first time, I think, where Elizabeth has sort of freed the reins on, like her. They've taken. She's able to open tears and things that are very apparently dangerous, and you sort of get a hint at just how absolutely omnipotent she actually is, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because she's not an escort. I've always felt that this game is an escort mission where she's escorting Booker.
Yeah.
You're just not aware of it until later. But yeah, I really like this scene where they start. She talks about moralizing, and he's tying her corset. It's very clever and very... Ken and the boys know what they were doing. Oh, to have that thing for a daughter. Just wrecking shop. I think it's sort of understated too. Like, obviously this is a game where redemption is sort of a loose theme because of so much of like how Christian theology is about redemption.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me that redemption plays such a large role in this game in terms of sort of how they talk, and Elizabeth talks about coping with like the evil that she's done and things like that. It makes you think about sort of what actual redemption is, or what that looks like, as opposed to merely what a religion has told you it is or what it looks like. It's kind of interesting. Dermot, you had a really shitty sub earlier.
I did.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I thought about that because I'm getting hungry, so I was like,
Yeah.
we may have to.
Yeah, I could be hungry in a little while.
Yeah.
I was disappointed.
We're going to celebrate the commentary on this run by eating something better than a grocery store sub sandwich.
And typically, this grocery store in particular makes really good subs, and they're cheap. But today, it was just let me down.
He got it later in the day.
I did get it later in the day.
So I feel like that may have something to do with it.
Yeah.
They may have the best of the best. They may have already used up their the aces and kings of the of the market. That's the suicide of Smasher taught me. Probably saves a minute or so. Who the hell knows? I have never my first stream. Only once have I gotten this deep in a run and not finished it, and I soft locked the game during the ending. It wasn't going to be a great time anyway, but it was very funny. It was my first online stream, and it was where there's a prompt where you press square to hand test the baby, and then the door shuts, and then there's another prompt to open the door. Well, the prompt didn't change after the door shut fast enough, and I was mashing square. So the door had already shut. I'd already given Lutest the baby, but I triggered another hand Lutest the baby prompt, and the game just freaked out and had no idea what to do.
Oh my god, that would drive me insane. I would be so mad.
I mean, but it's like the time wasn't even good. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And right now, they're like, thanks to whoever was in the chat this night, I feel like Different, you may have been in there, and some of the people that are in my chat regularly, because I seriously was not even going to finish this run, even with these times, because we were approaching like 3:15 in the morning. I had just absolutely zero intention of finishing this at all. But here we are. The ending especially. It was the only time I've played this game, and I've played this game a lot, but it was the only time I played the game where the ending had no emotional impact. I was just doing all I could to sit, because unlike most games, you don't lose control of Booker until well into this ending, and thus the time doesn't stop until you lose control of Booker.
Yeah.
So I actually had to play through the ending a little bit, which is different than most games. And yeah, you'll see here my splows now. I was 13 and a half minutes ahead of my best time. I knew pretty much from here, like the end of this, from here on out, there's nothing really fancy. You're just sort of going through the motions. The final fight, the last, like the tower defense fight at the end, I'm pretty sure the battery, the engine, whatever the hell they're shooting at that makes you lose when it runs out of energy. I think it was like about 2 shots away from me having to redo the whole last fight. That's one thing I'm still not terribly good at is that last fight. It's pretty.
I guess you probably done it at least. This is the very end.
Yeah, that's true too. It's very touch and go. It's a shame that they make games harder later in the game.
Yeah.
Because I would have a much easier time. Alright, so we don't encounter the same thing again, I'm actually going to stop the audio for a second, and then we'll be back on in 20 seconds to finish. Be right back. Okay, so I think we're back on. We had a brief scare where we thought it didn't do any of part 2 of this audio commentary, but it looks like we're okay. And if not, whatever, who gives a damn. We weren't doing anything else today anyway.
Yeah.
Milton the dog is joining us again. He desperately wants food, and the thumping you hear faintly in the background is his tail.
He's a big Bioshock fan.
He explained the ending to me.
Turns out it gets a lot weirder when you look at it from a dog's perspective.
Yeah. I tried to talk to him about the brilliance in the color schemes, and he just didn't have a clue what I was talking about. Editor's note. Yeah. Dogs are supposedly colorblind. Alright, go away, dog. Let us finish this. It is dinner time.
Maybe they're not, like whoever.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think about that all the time. Also, my dogs have very different vision. This is not interesting, but I guess I'll finish the thought. Like, one of my dogs can see the TV, and one of them can't. And we have a screen on our balcony, and one of them does not run into it because she can see it, and Milton here cannot see it, and sometimes noses into it.
Oh.
So I think their eyes are different. But
I read a study one time that said, like, a lot of dogs can only see, like, such a high frames per second that they can't see television.
Right.
But some can, so I don't know. Like,
it's like are dogs like PCs?
I guess.
Like, you need a certain kind of, you need enough, like, enough hardware in your dog to where they'll run at a certain FPS.
Yeah. You'd upgrade your dog.
Yeah. I can't help but think about the fact that first-person shooter and frames per second both have the same letters in their abbreviation.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I feel like somebody in, like, hip-hop should have utilized that by now. Like, that seems like an easy verse. You know?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Maybe they have. I don't listen to a lot of hip-hop.
Or at least, video game-related hip-hop.
Yeah, because there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
This is another place where I just really like getting Undertow. Knocking these guys off the barge just instantaneously, I think, is really good. I stand by Undertow. I don't care what they say.
It's just funny because I never really used it. Now I say this and I realize how effective it actually is. I don't know why I never used it that much, but...
So we go into the split 14 minutes, 18 seconds ahead. This was... At this point, it was just sort of a don't shit the bed moment. This ending part really doesn't have a lot of places to shit the bed, fortunately. Although I kind of do here, because I don't have... this is actually awkward. This is another place. I need enough salts to use charge twice, and I actually have just 0 salts here. And it's been so long since I navigated Comstock's airship normally that I sort of had to run around for a minute to figure out what the hell I was doing. It was kind of shameful. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not proud of this part, but hey, when you're 14 minutes ahead, who really cares what you're doing? I was hoping to
just take a little lollygag through the well.
Yeah, I actually slept through most of this. Yeah, it's like find a way to the top. Like I have no idea where I'm going right now. I'm just looking for salts, and then I find them. Very, very fortunately, I found them because then you get to do this little number. See, now I don't even know where I'm trying to get back out to the main section. I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, there's a turret here you can charge into and just speed all the way across to the front of the branch. I'm glad I don't have world records often. This will probably be the last time we ever have to do something like this. I'm pretty excited about that. I should mention too, like along the lines of the escort thing we talked about 4 hours ago. I think one of the most brilliant strokes in this game is the making Elizabeth someone you bond with and get along with sympathetically because of gameplay. I like the idea that so many times you're almost dead and then Elizabeth throws you health, or you're out of salts and she throws you salts. Like, that builds an inherent like of Elizabeth without the game having to just use her as a plot device.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most brilliant thing about her design, outside of like the narrative, who she is in the
most
narrative.
Most of the time it's the opposite, where like you're so busy trying to take care of another NPC that you kind of start to resent it.
Yeah, you're not working as a team. They're created as an obstacle and not a enabler of what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
which I think is maybe the greatest gameplay strength this game has. Takes it, and that's one of the things that helps it step out of the typical ho-hum first-person shooter too. Is nobody's ever put Elizabeth in a Battlefield game. I've only played I don't even know if it's the same people or what, but I had some friends, and we, back in the old Counter-Strike 1.6 days, we played like the first Battlefield, like the Battlefield 1942 or 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
And we used to crash helicopters online. Like, that was fun. I don't know if that has anything to do with, I guess EA bought it, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I played Battlefield 3 because it was free on PS Plus last year.
Yeah.
And I got about 20 minutes in.
Yeah,
and I put a stop to it. It was one of the most unpleasant, like, ridiculous things I've played.
I mean, the problem with those games
time events.
Yeah, it's so reliant upon the community and, like,
oh my god,
the community, because it's not like Call of Duty where you can kind of dick around and do your own thing. Battlefield's so SWAT based that people don't realize that, and they try to play it like a Call of Duty, and it just ruins the whole experience. Like, people will, team kill you just to get a plane and then go crash it, just for no reason. Like,
now that I could get into.
Yeah, back in the day, I used to play Battlefield Vietnam.
Yeah,
and that was a good one. Because that was back when it was still kind of more, there wasn't so many just casual people trying to just ruin it.
Yeah.
But now it's just almost unplayable.
Yep. We should play some CS:GO together.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because, like, I think that's the one thing missing from it is just, like, community and stuff. But yeah, we can talk about that later. I don't know. This is a really sweet skip. You don't have to fight any of this fight either.
Nice.
It's not a skip so much, it's just the game just not giving a damn. Like, a handyman spawns, but, like, there's nothing preventing you from just charging into that guy, jumping off, going to the other side of the room, and then hopping on a skyhook and peacing out. This is
later, fucker.
Yeah. So long, assholes. They're all observing my splits back there. They should have known what was coming.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's 14 minutes ahead. We're not getting him. Oh, we've only got a few minutes left, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm actually just obligated to say. I did my acknowledgments at the beginning when people were probably still actually watching this. So.
Yeah.
I really wish I could preserve to do a commentary track. I wish I could preserve the original track, or at least listen to it at my own leisure, because I can't even imagine the shit that was coming out of my mouth at this point. 3:30 in the morning. And I was still, like, talking about not finishing. I just did not care.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonder you managed to even finish this.
It is. Well, I mean, I started at 12:30 because what happens with most of these runs is you get to the factory skip and it doesn't go well, or you'll get to the Emporia at the very latest, which is an hour 20 minutes in, and the downtown skip won't go well, and you'll be done. And I had already resolved that I was going to bed when Elizabeth was being awful during the factory skip. So when I got that factory skip first jump, I was just like, oh, of course, tough life. Old Pappy Comstock. Grandpappy Comstock himself. Apparently, the finger thing with Elizabeth's finger came along very late in the story development.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird because it seems like it just hinders. Seems like it's pretty huge.
Yeah, I know. Like, there was also supposed to be like another character, wasn't there? It was in like the betas.
Oh, I have no idea. Was there another character?
There was like, I think it was like either it must have been like a demo, I think, and it was just the part towards the beginning where we first get to Columbia, and there's some other character who is depicted as some kind of politician or something. They really took him out of the actual game.
I gotcha.
But like they left some hints of him still.
Yeah.
They didn't tell you, like, this is weird. I can't remember the details of it, but
more on that later.
Yeah. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Explain it.
Yeah.
See, we should have done some of these comment games earlier, because nobody's watching this now.
Yeah. True.
I know I'm not. KMac's not.
Yeah, it's true. He's not. He's having a good birthday party with his grandma.
I love that he's going to 2 parties tonight in the span of like 4 hours, and they're the 2 most
diametrically opposed.
Yeah, like going to grandma's birthday followed by a bachelor party. Your nose is bleeding, Booker. Spoiler alert. Your nose is bleeding.
But will it flop?
That was the question. Does Will it Blunt guy still exist?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
He's still going strong, yeah.
What is he? Is there any way he makes a living off that?
I mean, I guess those blend-type blenders are expensive.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Will It Blend is a thing. It's a schmo in a lab coat, and he puts objects into a blender. And in the most, how would you describe his demeanor? I would say like joyously mundane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's very happy, but he just is still a schmo at every step of the process.
Absolutely.
He is a stone cold nobody. So going into this fight, I'd lost a second or so, or a minute rather, and I entered this final fight at 13 minutes ahead, in which I had obviously done the math. So my PB is 2:37, so I was on pace for around a 2:24, which was 4 minutes faster than the record, Smasher's record, and then wound up just being 30 seconds out of that. So, spoilers, I do break the record.
All of your watching is not good for naught.
This is live. Yeah. The most amazing thing is even like my wife, who just could not care less about shit like this. I mean, I don't care. What hope does she have? Was just like, did you record it? And I didn't even think I had recorded it. But my stream software apparently just does it automatically, and I didn't know that, and then I just found it later.
Nice.
I was like, yeah, it's not on record, but I mean, I did it on stream. Like, I don't really care. And then lo and behold, I actually still have it. So, yeah, and Smasher was like, I'm pretty sure you'll have a recording. So, this has been less a record commentary and just like more of a Smasher 419 fanboy variety hour. I can't tell. That dude is so good at this game.
He even made a guest appearance.
He did. Cameo. Yeah, his run was very, very good. Taught me everything I know. DumDumDugan closed it out, and the rest is history.
Yep.
I don't know anybody who's like a terribly huge fan of this, but this section.
Yeah, I was not really a fan.
Yeah, this is a common thing in games nowadays. I really feel like if they could have done something else, they would have. But I can't help but feel like I would rather have this than like a boss fight that was completely different, retardedly unlike anything else we'd seen through the game. You know, because then when you do that, you get like Deus Ex Human Revolution boss fights where you're just like shoehorning in stuff that you didn't really plan for.
Yeah, those.
So
yeah, it's gonna be hard to beat those in the future.
Deus Ex Human Revolution, setting the low bar for game design oversight.
Oh my god, yeah. Like,
great game. Boss fights. Did you tell me they fixed it in the director's cut, or is
they
it
did? Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Well,
made them a lot more doable.
Well, guess what? I got it on PS Plus, and that's the original version.
Yeah,
so.
I got it for $10 at Walmart.
Screw me.
The original version too. I wasn't actually aware that there was a director's cut until about 10 minutes, or about not 10 minutes, but several hours into the game. I was on the internet, and it was just like, hey,
Yeah.
it's a director's cut version.
Well, we damned.
Cool.
Yeah, good to know.
Should have sprung for that.
Yeah, that fight was like the first one, like just miserable.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful.
After that, it's not that bad. Like they're like the maze fights and stuff. Like I feel like most of those were relatively fair game, but that first one, they just drop you in without a parachute.
The one that really got to me was the terminal one, where there's like the ninja type woman, and she cloaks and decloaks.
Oh yeah.
And basically, the only way I was able to beat her was by scumming it and doing like this stun gun cheat, basically.
Yeah.
Where every time she popped up, you just stunned her, and then you kept doing it over and over again.
Let me ask you this: did you save your pilot or whatever? There was a fight where
I didn't. No, actually, I wasn't able to. I thought I did.
Son of a bitch.
But then she ended up crashing. Yeah.
Actually, I went hardcore because the game had scummed me so hard on mechanics, and the cover-based combat was really unintuitive and terrible, and the boss fights were so obnoxious. I reset. I usually don't reset on things like that, but I actually reset until I saved her. I was like, you know what, you're not playing fair anyway, so
yeah.
This was really annoying. And a lot of people don't realize you can do this, by the way. This is you can actually kill a Zeppelin by jumping on board. I don't know that you can do it to multiple ones. This may be the only one. It's the only one. I feel like it's the fastest way to do it, is just to do this one, because Songbird can do the rest. But this allows you to leave a Songbird in the queue, and then Booker's Skyhook.
Oh, nice. I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah, it's really like, I don't think I've done a run of this where somebody has seen me do this and not been like, holy shit, you can do that.
Huh. And
I didn't know you could do it either until Smasher 419's run.
Once again,
yeah, the man, the myth. He's a good dude. Another thing that makes me very lucky is he's recently been in the middle of his finals for college, which means he can't practice this game and get back into it and de-rust and break my record. So this record already is standing a week longer than it probably should have.
Yeah. Might as well bask in it while you have it, I guess.
Yeah, well. Yeah, that's another thing is you can, with the volley gun, you can shock those the airships that have the big cannon-looking thing on the front of them, and they're vulnerable to shock, and then you can volley gun the hell out of them, and they die without needing Songbird's assistance. So this fight's got a few little nuances, but yeah, mostly, especially when you're speedrunning, you're just so tired at this point.
Yeah.
Even when you're not running it at 3 in the morning. So this game takes it out of you. The thing of it is like a lot of runs, like JRPGs that are a lot longer than this, have so much time because of the nature of JRPGs and longer runs like that in general. A lot of it is sort of downtime. You can sort of chill.
Yeah.
Whereas this game, like you actually, with a few exceptions, you have to play pretty continuously for a few hours.
Yeah, I mean this will be pretty exhausting, I think.
Yeah. I don't have that many full runs under my belt. I've probably done maybe 9 or 10, like, speed runs. Like, I played the game twice all the way through.
Right.
Casually, but I want to say I've only probably, beginning to end runs, I've probably only done maybe 10. I've done probably well over 40 or 50 partial runs, or like runs that died at factory skip or whatever. But I also only recently started actually streaming on Twitch, so I didn't want to have get perfect at it and then just have no growth to show for it on Twitch.
Right.
But I got Silent Hill 2 routed. I need to get on that.
Yeah, I'd look forward to that.
Yeah. We can do. It won't be a world record because I don't want to skip cutscenes because why the hell? I mean, it's just
yeah.
What are you watching at that point? But yeah, we can do a commentary for that. We can do another video a bunch of people won't watch.
Yeah, that game especially, I feel like, is
ripe.
Ripe, yeah.
Ripe.
Talking about.
Yeah.
Analyzing. Whatever.
We can hold each other and cry.
Yeah. People can watch it. We can lighten the mood for them.
Yeah.
Talking through it.
Yep. We could do some LPs. We could do some weekly 1 hour LP series
I'd be down for that.
where we talk about Kyle's grandmother.
Yeah.
Oh, KMac.
I would love to do an active LP, not like a commentary, more like as we're doing it.
Yeah.
That'd be
We're
fun.
just sitting. Yeah.
Even if it was like Silent Hill 2 or something.
Yeah.
It'd be a good time. It would lend itself to talking about why you do it.
My dog's licking his genitals.
If anybody has any good ideas as to games that would be good for LPing,
We should do Bioshock Infinite.
yeah, that's possible.
I hear it's pretty good. I'm not very good at it though.
We could slow run it.
Yeah. Just need to hand you the controller.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, beat this as glacially as possible.
Put on 1999 mode.
Oh my god, that mode is a bear.
Yeah, it's something.
Absolute bear. That's actually the one trophy I haven't unlocked in this game, and I don't know that I may die before that actually occurs. So, and there in another universe, there's a version of me who actually gives a shit about beating 1999.
Yeah.
I had a friend who I was running this the other night, and my friend stopped in and said he had just left a party where there was a lot of costumers, and Bane of Batman fame was the DJ.
Nice.
I believe. I think that's right. Or no, it was Hodor of Game of Thrones.
Nice.
He was the DJ, and a Booker and Elizabeth were together and dancing. I don't remember the word he used, but I think you know where this is going.
Yeah.
And I told him very plainly that Booker doesn't dance because Elizabeth asks him to dance at Battleship A, and he says, "I don't dance."
Yeah.
And to which his counter argument was, "Well, that's a different universe, and Booker dances in this universe, so that's him." And then we got on to all the possibilities of other universes, and we thought of the idea that there's one universe where Booker is actually just a banana.
Yeah.
And his name is Banana DeWitt. And he goes around and, he does his thing.
There's one where
But he's a banana.
Yeah, there's one where Elizabeth's name is Joyce.
Yeah.
She's actually Joyce DeWitt. She goes on the Star Three's company.
This is such a just raw show of power right here out of Lizzie,
ridiculous.
out of Annabelle DeWitt.
Joyce DeWitt would make a good Elizabeth. Circa, 1978 maybe.
Yeah, I guess. Let's cast this. All right, who's Booker? Let's cast this. While we sit through this ending, because the time is still not up. Because I have to press the button still. This is such a sad scene.
Yeah, it is.
Because this is like all she's known, but it's also like a great indicator of like growth.
Yeah.
Like this is the final transcendence of her from captive deity to free roaming deity.
Yeah, this is one of the bigger mindfucks in a video game, I think.
Yeah.
At least for me.
And it's a good one.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's not one of those M. Night Shyamalan jerk off on the screen things.
No.
M. Night Shyamalan, if you're watching, you're terrible. Like, what happened, man? What happened?
What was the last thing he even... Oh, After Earth. That he actively hid his name from. It wasn't in any of the promotion.
That's... really?
Yeah.
So it's come to that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's disheartening.
He thought that movie could sell based on the fact it was Will Smith and Jade Smith, and that didn't work either.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Nepotism, the film, was him?
Yeah, oh yeah, big time. Yeah, if you look at any of the trailers, his name is not involved.
I didn't know he was involved at all.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody did.
I'll be damned.
As if that was going to make a difference, people
Yeah.
not knowing it was him. That was a twist in that movie, actually.
Yeah.
The twist was that he directed it.
Startling.
Very meta, yeah.
Startling. I was told, and God knows I'd never go watch it, but I was told that even if the kid could act, which he couldn't, the film still would have sucked.
Yeah.
So it was just buried that deep.
I've seen some online reviews of it, and it's pretty
Abysmal.
It's pretty savage, yeah.
Is it better than Night Trap?
Yeah, I would rather watch Night Trap. I would rather
For the novelty?
I would rather somebody splice Night Trap all together and then watch After Earth. Because After Earth's 2.5 hours of Jaden Smith pretending like he can act.
Dana Plato versus Jaden Smith. Who you
I
got?
was Dana Plato, absolutely. Wow. Yeah.
You answered that quickly.
Yeah. He just sucks in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
He went to Kim and Kanye's wedding the other day.
They had a wedding?
Yeah, they
I
had
don't
a
know.
wedding. Yeah. So he went,
This is so
and
pretty.
he's 15, I guess, something like that.
That's about right.
He wore a white Batman outfit to the wedding.
Why?
Just because he can.
Did he shit himself and have to be tended to?
I don't know. Apparently, Will Smith's whole parenting philosophy is just like not to be like a parent, let them do whatever they want, and they'll like work out for them.
Well, parents just don't understand.
Parents don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I guess he doesn't understand, and nobody else does. Why the fuck he would dress up like that?
You know who he is? He's like Adam Sandler in Big Daddy.
That's exactly what he is.
Yeah, he just like lets him name himself macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, the kid James and why was on ass is the question.
Yeah,
At least the kid in Big Daddy.
hard to say.
Yeah.
That kid made the kid from Big Daddy made another appearance on. He was the kid, Ross's kid on Friends for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and he was just like a douchey little snot on that show.
They ended up having their own Disney show.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're twins and they're kids, so
Yeah, it's
that's
like the Sweet Life.
that's money in the bank.
That was a weird thing. It was like it wasn't them as like kids, it was like teenagers or preteens. It was like the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody or something.
Are they Zach and Cody?
Yeah, there's Zach and Cody.
Wow! I saw that on like TV.
One of them got fat, so they'll start calling Zach and Bloody. Which just sells itself. But yeah,
You like that, don't you?
I like it a lot. Yeah, I don't know why those kids of all the twins,
Yeah.
they like think that they could have had they weren't even that good in Big Daddy.
Yeah, I mean they're just they're kids. Kids can't act.
Yeah.
Dakota Fanning, and that's the end of the list. Although Natalie Portman and Leon the Professional was unforgettable. She made quite a career. What's she doing now? Anybody heard from her?
I don't know. She got disappeared.
Yeah. They dropped her in a hole at the end of Leon the Professional.
Who are some good child actors? There's
How'd that Culkin kid do?
not so well. Chloe Grace Moretz is pretty good.
I don't know that one.
She was in like Kick Ass, and she was just
Oh,
scary.
Okay. Yeah, but that's not like a
It's like a kid actor, I guess.
Yeah. Did they ever do that Lolita remake with Dakota Fanning, or did that just never happen?
I don't think so. No.
Did they shut that down?
There was some movie where she had a rape scene, though.
I thought that was what they were making.
No, it wasn't Lolita though. It was like some crime movie or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Whatever.
It was like some indie movie. I don't know. It didn't really. I don't even know what it was called.
Right. They probably shot that after it was over because the movie sucked. They're like, well, we got to generate some controversy or this thing's going under.
Yeah, exactly.
This thing's going
Somebody
under.
out there wants to see this.
One thing that I find interesting is Ellen Page of Juno fame and complete lack of Beyond Two Souls fame.
Yeah.
She was in that film Hard Candy.
She was.
I like the idea that she was younger when she was in that film, but I'm pretty sure when she's like 40, she would have still been able to pass for like the age of the girl.
Oh yeah.
She's like in a time vault, like where she's gonna be 13 forever.
Yeah, she's always looked the same. Yeah. Which is fine with me.
Yeah.
She's no Emma Stone now. So Emma Stone's my waifu.
Oh, you got a waifu now?
I got a waifu.
Emma Stone.
Emma
Wow.
Stone's the waifu. Yeah.
Now, which one's Emma Stone?
She's the one from Superbad.
Okay.
Red hair. She's in.
I still got nothing.
Spider-Man movies, the newest ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, she's not Kirsten Dunst.
That's true.
So she's alright in my book already.
She's got that blessing, yeah. You'd think of all the pseudonyms people go with in Hollywood that you wouldn't think of changing Dunst. Like
Dunst, yeah.
that's just not star potential at all. Like
She needs more zip.
yeah, exactly. Like
I don't like her. I never did.
I'm not a big fan. She always seems very dull. Like she's confused, or she doesn't know what she's doing.
She did a really shitty movie a while back, where she was like Richard Nixon's daughter, and the film was called Dick.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's everything she's been in, even like Melancholia, they're really good, like indie movie.
Oh yeah,
She still just seems
like
kinda
Virgin Suicide.
she just seems kind of like vacant.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't really know what she's doing.
Like you have those actors and actresses that are just so charismatic. Like you don't forget who they are,
Yeah.
but you don't care.
Yeah.
She's one that like, you don't forget and you care. It's like like George Clooney and Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Like,
Yeah.
You're very aware it's George Clooney, but you don't care. It's like you're fine in this. You're funny.
Yeah.
Whereas Kirsten Dunst is still Kirsten Dunst, and she still just sucks.
Yeah.
This feels mean spirited. I don't know how we got
Maybe
on
a
this.
little bit, yeah. But
I mean, she's probably a very kind person.
if you like Kirsten Dunst, post in the comments about how much you love Kirsten Dunst. I'm open to argumentation.
Is that a word?
Sure.
I really don't know. That door doesn't render for the longest time in the scene. You're just like, and there it is. This is where I got soft locked on my first try.
That's
great. I really didn't care.
So far.
I wish I'd been recording. It could have been a highlight. I could have put it there for all to laugh at for ages to come. The really funny thing is I was pressing a bunch of buttons just to try to make the game do anything, sort of like a Hail Mary.
Right.
And I hit down, which is the last Voxophone plays.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, some Voxophone I had accidentally picked up, like, an hour and a half earlier to start playing. So I'm just, like, stuck in this room and Preston Downs is telling me about Columbia. So funny. Oh, that's a very boyish looking baby.
It is.
It's a little troubling. Yeah, I was very careful not to mash here. I handed him the baby, I put the damn controller down, and then I picked it back up when I saw open door. Yeah, so here's the prompt, and then the door's shut, and then the game hadn't swapped over to the other flag yet, so yeah, it was unfortunate. There we go, open door, I approve. I was horrified when I first started running this game because there's the post credits mini scene, like the Inception, leave you hanging. Is the baby in there? Is the baby not in there? Where Booker opens the door after the credits, and because you technically have control of Booker there, I was scared to death that the people who ran this game decreed that the credits actually counted toward your time. I was like, that's bollocks.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunately, they're all very civilized people.
Yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Not barbarians. You can't really run here. This is another place where I think you get the I don't know if I'm running or not, which is uncool. Uncool. Well, we're in our last 3 minutes here.
Yeah. Milton the dog is sitting on my lap.
Milton the dog.
Milton the dog is a very big dog. It's kind of funny.
He's not. He doesn't think he's a big dog, but he is in fact a big dog. Comstock looks very like a college professor right there.
He does. Starring in God's Not Dead.
He looks like he could sub in for Bill Nye's Ken Ham debate if Bill Nye got sick or something. He just looks like a man of academic discourse. Get down. Not you all. I'm telling my dog to get down. You guys may stay in the recliner. So we're approaching the final scene before time stops. This door does nothing. Booker just gets sad. As we all would be in a situation where our brains were melting on themselves and learning about how terrible people we were.
So how ecstatic were you when you got to this point?
I didn't really care. That's one thing is I've been flying my apathetic flag. I do like speedrunning, but I like it as a means of seeing the entirety of a game in one sitting, as well as sort of being married to the handful of games that I definitely love enough to be masters at them.
Yeah.
But in terms of I've never had any intention of getting a world record or even thinking about it. So this was, like I said, a series of very, very fortunate things happened. I was just sort of playing this game at the right time after some new tech and playing the game on the slowest platform, which makes it a little more unpopular than the PC. Obviously has the most runners, and there's a few console runners still left. Or Xbox, I should say. Troy Smasher also had the Xbox record until very recently, when somebody put some new tricks to use as well. So this is our final screen. Whenever I open the door to the lighthouse or input the prompt, this time is actually when I finally lose control of Booker. And another thing I love about the beauty of this game is this screen where you lose control of Booker is also the same exact screen where the run begins and you gain control of Booker, which is kind of cool. This game just works on so many levels, it's astounding. So I don't know how, I know on my timer it's 2:23:30, but I don't know how it'll look on here in terms of the Twitch delay and stuff. There you have it. The fastest Bioshock Infinite has been beaten on a PlayStation 3 Entertainment Sony console.
Very good.
Yeah, there you have it. So, I guess we can hang out another minute, finish the ending, and then
why not?
Read names off the credits.
Gems.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be able to watch enough. I guess anybody who wants to watch Troy Baker and Miranda, I don't remember the actress's name who plays Elizabeth, do
Oh, it's
do the song, but
Courtney Drake.
Courtney, yeah.
I almost think Courtney Thorne-Smith.
Why do I always say her? That's horrible. She did way too good of a job and I've gotten way too many hours of joy out of this game, and especially this moment, for me to have forget her name. Courtney Draper.
Yeah.
The greatest living actress.
She's up there.
Yeah. She basically invented theater. Milton Dog is ludicrous. This is such a great moment. Yeah, this is a great way for this game to end. For all it's sort of obviously it's a dark game, but it's a well lit game. Yeah. This game takes place in the daylight and in the sunshine, and for the game to have such a creepy but so appropriate and so correct ending, I think is. Oh man, I'll never forget finishing that one for the first time.
Yeah, it was a good moment.
Yeah, it made playing other games hard. That's always a sign that you should look into speedrunning a game. Whenever you finish a game and you're like, I don't want this to be over, head on over to the old Speed Demos Archive forum, see if anybody's whipped up any tricks to finish it. So I do want to take let's be petty right now. Ken Levine, lead writer and creative director. I guarantee you anything, Casey Hudson, that he was not the only one in the room for writing that ending. So don't be an asshole. It's the Mass Effect guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, like he and like one other guy maybe, like, you know, this may just all be hearsay, but the ending's terrible, so I don't feel bad knocking him down a peg. Mm-hmm. But apparently, like, he refused to let anybody else in the writers' room, like, to close the ending. Like, he wanted to do it himself and wouldn't allow peer review.
Yeah, he did a fucking bang up job of it.
Yeah, nice job, asshole. I actually sent him a tweet the other day. He was like asking if people were hyped for Dragon Age Inquisition, and I was like, it depends. Did you have the ending peer review? Yeah. He did a lot of good for that series, but I'm sorry. Like, I don't even mind fuck-ups. Like, I don't mind when things are bad. I don't even mind when, whenever, like, corporate stuff happens, like with the second Dragon Age, and, you know, it just sort of ends up being whatever it is because of, you know, business pressures or whatever, that's one thing. But when you have such a massive, unbelievably ego that you won't allow other people to peer review what you're doing because only you, with your 6th grade first draft, can properly close the series that was the sum of hundreds and hundreds of people's thousands of hours of labor, then I don't have any guilt pissing on you. So,
and the fact that
Ken Levine, like, man's gift or God's gift to man.
It's not even that it's
Casey
just
Hudson,
like
moron.
bad. It's like it's fundamentally bad.
Yeah,
like
correct.
It's not that he wrote like an ending people didn't agree with. It's just like it's fun on every level. It's bad and wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't even work. Like it just doesn't. It's not correct. It'd be like instead of the ending we just saw, like you walk through a door and, you know, a clown jumps out of a birthday cake and the credits roll. It's like that doesn't even work. That doesn't make sense. Even then, it would be sort of this weird artsy postmodern thing. That would still work. But Mass Effect 3 was the worst it could be on every front. Yeah, the ending was. So.
I still don't really understand the whole catalyst thing, and the little boy, and like.
It's so stupid.
Just so shoehorned in. At the last minute.
Missing the forest for the trees. Mass Effect, the series was not about the growing, crazy, jump the shark, Deus Ex Machina mythos. It was about how you defined your character and the decisions you made and the bonds you made with characters who lived and died under your command. It was about those relationships. And one of the things that nobody talks about is that the kid, after the credits roll, the little Princess Bride grandpa telling the kid, "What are you doing?" Yeah. That was so atonal and so
Buzz Aldrin
and cliche. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It's just like an excuse to get Buzz Aldrin to add legitimate.
Then have him I would rather have him belched into a microphone.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the most cliche garbage. So
that was really cheesy.
Yeah, it's
trying
bad.
To be so poignant.
Yeah.
Just like,
that ending was the actual worst possible.
Yeah.
Courtney Draper. There you are, beautiful. You did wonderful. Heather Gordon did the motion capture for Elizabeth. So kudos to her as well. Troy Baker, who had the greatest 2013 of anybody in this
It's
industry.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
I will say, like, as much as like they have to be sort of semi-lumped in because of gaming market research, gruff, scraggly, white guy, grizzled people, Joel and Booker do not sound terribly alike.
They really
like,
don't.
he did a really good job of.
Troy Baker's Joker was actually pretty good too.
Was he the Joker?
He was.
Was he in Asylum?
No, in Origins.
Oh, in Origins.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't played Origins yet.
I mean, I liked it enough, but like,
Is it the third one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that it was Troy Baker till the end. I was pretty impressed.
Same for me on The Last of Us. I was like, oh, well, look at you.
He and Nolan North just teach a class together.
I bet he's got a pool.
I'm sure.
I bet after last year he's got a pool. Then the dog is grumbling at me because I still haven't fed him. The girls just want to have fun. There's that Cyndi Lauper. See, there's so many games, or so many.
I forgot Shiny Happy People was in this game.
I wonder how much it cost to get the rights to those, because maybe this game could have been profitable.
Yeah.
But they refused to leave any detail to chance. They were like, we are going to use up every dime. I have no idea what my dog's trying to do right now. He is sitting on 2 chairs at once. What are you doing? Make a decision. He wants to be fed. It's his dinner. And like, he's obviously just
Being impatient.
yeah, being in my grill, so it's like, as if I'm going to forget that. Get away from me. I have an English Bulldog and a Weimaraner. I recommend either of them to anyone who has them. Weimaraner, though, it's good if you have a little land for them to run around in. They're high energy. Maybe we should do that instead of game commentary. The LPs, we should just talk about.
Dog advice?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Call JDerm. You're the Caesar Milan of YouTube.
It's true, yeah.
Canon and D is in this. Where is that at?
I don't know.
Damn it. I need to find that out. It's one of my favorite compositions.
I didn't realize that was in there.
It's beautiful.
I also didn't realize that Shiny Happy People was in this game, so.
Well, God, no expense spared for sure. What was I going to say? Oh, on Pandora, never like any version of Canon and D, because literally the entire station will play nothing but Canon and D variations. Because a lot of people have done it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like 10,000. It's been around for a while, so. But that's all Pandora plays. It's like, oh, you like Canon and D? How do you like this? These are the acknowledgments. I always like reading them when I actually finish it because they're so personalized.
Yeah, they really are. I never even looked at these before.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who's supported me during Crunch. I made it. Mom for renting the NES games, and Dad for taking me to the arcade. Yeah. So these actually have a lot of. Some of them are boring. But yeah. Almost all of them talk about schedule, which really speaks to sort of how intensive this industry is in terms of if you really want something done. It's entirely possible people could pour 70 hours a week into something for 5 straight years, and then it turns out like shit. So brave men and women doing these sorts of things. I was gonna wait till the song, but people know what it is.
Yeah.
You can YouTube it. So I think I'm just gonna stop it because I gotta feed the dog.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So that was my Bioshock world record. I hope the 5 people who had watched the first 20 minutes enjoyed it. This record will be broken very soon, either by me or someone else, and I probably won't do a commentary track for it because this takes forever. But that was fun. I enjoyed that. Yeah, that's a good time. Yeah. So for all of us here at my living room, JDerm, KMac at his bachelor grandmother party, and Milton the dog, who's very hungry. Uh-oh, he heard me say the word. He knows the word hungry, so now he's going to freak out.
He's intelligent.
Oh, yep. Weimaraners, they're intelligent. Thanks for watching.
Take it easy.
Twitch.com/the_Scribner is my Twitch channel.